Hi, I'm Spaceboy.
And I'm Sir Lana.
And you're listening to Spaceboy Universe
on the Paranormal UK Radio Network.
This is Patrick Stat Spore, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
32 minutes, 21 seconds. 5-second tone followed by a 1-second pause.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Okay, gang, let's go.
From the space city called Houston, Texas, welcome to Spaceboy Universe, featuring Spaceboy and the lovely Sir Lana. So strap in and prepare for launch sequence.
Greetings and salutations. I'm Spaceboy, and across from me is the lovely Sir Lana, and this is a little show we like to call Spaceboy Universe. It is February 2nd, 2019, and we're on show number 3.18, and tonight's guest will be Ben Knight, hip-hop artist and pop nerdcore, I guess nerd, we'll get into all that. Yes, make sure to hashtag your tweets tonight with hashtag SB Universe and hashtag Space Cadets. Always follow us on Twitter, and that's at the SB Universe and at Sir Lana for Sir Lana, and follow me, that's Spaceboy at Spaceboy Music. Hey Space Cadets, you know you can follow us all over the multimedia universe. Just search for Spaceboy Universe. Space Cadets, it's your duty to check out our YouTube channel. We do more than the archive of shows there. There's video content from SB Music, video interviews, 2-Bit Gamers, and so much more. Hit that subscribe button and click that bell to be notified when new content is available. Can't catch a show live? No problemo. Take SBU on the go with you via Spreaker, SoundCloud, iTunes, and Spotify, and of course iHeartMedia, because man, we like to broadcast, don't we, Sir Lana?
Yes.
Did I?
Some of our space cadets are a bunch of smart alecks.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
It started early, K28. Just a friendly reminder, when we're broadcasting live, as we are right now, you're always welcome to join us where we broadcast from on Spreaker.com. Just look for Spaceboy Universe. And when you get there, there's a chat. There's a live chat with the Spreaker broadcast. You can get there by going to SpaceboyUniverse.com. There's a player embedded there. You click the little dancing chat talk bubble. That'll get you in. Or if you're on our site, go to SBU chat on the menu, and you can come into our embedded web chat where you can do cool stuff like change your font color, put your own picture up there to your avatar, change your name, upload a picture, links to videos, animated GIFs. We just ask that you keep everything round about PG-13 and lower. No adult content, videos, links, images, moving images. No basic chat rules apply where we don't tolerate bullying or harassment. So if one of our other chatters complains about you, you're gone. So just a little friendly reminder, you can chat in either place, both places. Spaceboy and I are watching both chats and engaging in both chats. Now, if for some reason I don't say anything for a while when we are doing these broadcasts, usually it's because I'm reading my notes and talking and I'm not paying attention to the screen. But seeing as how we're going to have a musician on tonight, I think Spaceboy will probably take the lead here because they could talk mano-y-mano here, so I'll probably have more time to chit-chat.
Also, Space Cadets, consider supporting the universe. At the top of our homepage is a donation button. You can do a donation as little as $1. Yes, $1 donation. Help support the universe today. Go to spaceboyuniverse.com and support the universe by a small donation.
I forget you can change your font color.
Mm-hmm. All right, Sirlana.
Yes. You're ready to proceed, huh?
Let's chat this up.
Well, let's start with some, technically social media, internet-y things, right?
Mm-hmm.
Snopes says nope to Facebook's money and leaves the fact-checking program. Now, I didn't know this was in the works, but Snopes.com, which has been around just forever and a day, out there's been debunking, conspiracy theories, wild accusations, fake news, longer than we've been talking about fake news. So Snopes received $100,000 in 2017 for helping debunk bogus stories. That's nice.
Mm-hmm.
But Snopes will no longer partner with Facebook as part of their social network's fact-checking initiative, which they began at the end of 2016 after the presidential election. Well, I don't have to rehash where all that went, supposedly went down. Now, Facebook would try to inform users about questionable or false news shared by friends. Good luck, Facebook. Trying to get through that mess. But they also, ABC News, Associated Press, FactCheck.org, and PolitiFact were also going to be part of the fact-checking services. But Snopes says they're evaluating the ramifications and costs of providing third-party fact-checking services. We want to determine with a certainty that our efforts aid in any particular platform are a net positive for our online community, publication, and staff. So I wonder what went down, or is it just dealing with Facebook is just always a bad news all the way around?
Microsoft is coming out with this new add-on where it's going to fact-check the news. And it's going to tell you if a certain site is good or not. And what's funny is they gave BuzzFeed a green check mark.
That's just sick. Just sick. So Snopes said that Facebook partnership ultimately took up too much time for their small staff,
mm-hmm.
and they'd be better served creating fact-checking tools that could benefit the entire web, not just Facebook. So, so it doesn't seem like there was a big falling out or anything, but the Facebook program has reportedly been a contentious issue on Snopes' Slack channel for several months. The organization stopped debunking posts at the end of last year when its contract with Facebook expired. So I think this is interesting. There's nothing wrong with fact-checking. But again, don't rely on just Snopes. Don't rely on a fact-checker. There's a certain percentage they might not be correct too. It's worth your time to sit down and take 10 minutes out of your day to track something down that you think is important, or you were like, is that true? If it makes you turn your head or think twice, track it down. Take some time.
Mm-hmm.
You won't regret it, I'm pretty sure. So they did review Facebook's fact check program in April of last year. That would be, I don't know if that's 2017 they're talking about, 2018. So Facebook curates a list of stories, right? And the news organizations then independently choose stories to debunk or adding their facts. So Facebook uses the change in all that, how to algorithmically surface stories for its users. So I guess it doesn't push up articles and stories until it gets through these filters. But yeah, I still respect Snopes as a and you know how it started? It started way back when. Way back when. I mean, Snopes was like, I remember when Snopes' website looked like your typical 1990s website. But it started when people were just emailing, like, oh, well, if you forward this email, this will happen, or Bill Gates is giving away free money. You remember those emails we used to get, those terrible spam emails?
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of, I think, why Snopes came into existence, was over crazy claims being sent to your inbox. So I think it's good. I think if they knew they couldn't do it, then they should not have kept going with the partnership. But all this stuff about fact checking and, we had talked last Saturday during this part of the show about how companies and organizations are taking upon themselves to try to stop fake news before it gets out or fact check. But I also feel like there's a fine line between trying to do the right thing and flat out censorship. And I think YouTube is going the censorship route. And we talked about how they were no longer going to serve up content, suggested videos, if they were associated with conspiracy theories, which just made me want to do the biggest show on conspiracy theories that I could possibly do. Who's to say I'm not gonna? We'll see.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't know where YouTube gets the cojones sometimes. So here's the next thing. YouTube wants dislike mobs to stop weaponizing the dislike button. So what in the heck are they talking about? Well, you go to YouTube, you look at a video, there's a like and a dislike button. If you didn't like it, you can say thumbs down, whatever. Well, they say the only way to really stop that is just don't put a like or dislike button there. So when I say weaponizing it, viewers weaponizing dislike button, well, I cite the example, YouTube's 2018 Rewind video, where there was a concerted effort and campaign for people who disagreed with the content of that video. It became the top dislike video. People went and removed their dislike from Justin Bieber's Baby to give it to YouTube 2018, just so it could be the top most disliked video of all time. And if they don't want people to they think that's weaponizing it, well, that is them us trying to send you a message that you don't want to hear. They're like, oh, well, we found out they can all get on here and not like something. Well, what should we do about that? So you don't want us to dislike or disagree? So the product development team at YouTube is working on a way to tackle this issue. The director of product management at YouTube says dislike mobs in a recent issue of Creator Insider, that's what he says, they're equivalent to review bombings on Steam. Steam is the application you and I have for downloading PC games to play, for purchasing PC games. I don't spend much time on the reviews on Steam, so I'm guessing this is just the same phenomenon over there. People who are upset with a certain creator or game decide to execute an organized attack or downvote or negatively review a game into oblivion. And that's what they did with Rewind 2018, but that was justified. That's them. This is the only quick message that we could get to YouTube saying, your content is wrong, it's irrelevant, and you missed all these key points, and we wanted to see that. So that's why PewDiePie went and made his version, and it included good, bad, and the ugly, and even people we lost in 2018. So reports suggested that a video with a high number of dislikes that outweighs the number of positive likes is less likely to get recommended on YouTube. So by their own token, so if there's more dislikes on the YouTube 2018 Rewind than there are likes, then you shouldn't be seeing it trending anymore on YouTube. But that's not what happened, was it? So they're trying to punish us for having an opinion. That's what it feels like. Is that what this is? Of course, they're not going to say that. But they're planning to experiment on new ways to make it more difficult for organized attacks to be executed. I wouldn't call the dislike of the Rewind as an attack. That was, a lot of people said, yeah, let's let our opinion be heard. I don't see how they see that as an attack. I really don't. But lightly being discussed right now, if none of the options are the correct approach, they may hold off on a better idea. Right now, the current option is for creators to go to their preferences and indicate they don't want ratings, likes, and dislikes to be visible to the public. The issue is that the videos are overwhelmingly positive response won't be seen. So you got to figure out Another option is then requiring more granularity when someone downvotes. If you're going to downvote, maybe you have to click a checkbox as to why you don't like this video. That would give the creator more info, other than you just being a baby about things and not liking stuff because it doesn't line up with your, opinion. So to remove the dislikes entirely is an option, but he says it's not democratic. Not all dislikes are from dislike mobs. No kidding. Valve handled this in 2018 with a histogram underneath the review scores to show potential buyers when a product might be going under a wave of artificial negativity due to review bombing campaign. So that's interesting, if you're intelligent enough to know what all that means. So the reasoning behind implementing the histogram in a blog post was explained by that app's designer. Said Steam decided not to simply remove the user scores or add a temporary lock for a specific game. So it's not just YouTube that goes through this. I'm sure there is legitimate things like dislike mobs, campaigns. I mean, you can just say the wrong thing and somebody doesn't agree with it, and somebody could come after you like that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just question YouTube's motives whenever something comes up that happens, because they've historically shown me that they don't deal with things well. They miss the mark. They don't care about the creators. They don't care about the content providers. They only care about the money. They care about their advertisers and corporate sponsors and celebrities. Good.
All right, so I'd like to shift gears. You know what today is, right?
More rain day?
No. Groundhog Day. That's right. America's most famous groundhog, Punxsutawney Phil, didn't see his shadow Saturday and predicted an early spring. So we're going to get supposedly a relief from, I guess, the winter vortex that's going on up north. So, yeah, no early spring this year.
So there's a winter vortex, and people in California are probably really scared right now because there's this wet stuff falling from the sky, and they haven't seen it in so long. I'm sure they don't remember what to do. If you need some instructions, please call us in Houston. It will not freaking stop raining here. It's like rain every day or every other day, and it just...
Yeah, but not like it's going on in California
not like deluge,
right now.
but I mean, you could pick Houston up and wring it out like a sponge right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's just sort of just damp all the time. But yeah, I hope y'all stay safe, and I'm trying to imagine what's actually happening. So they've been dried out. I'm guessing they've been conserving water and don't do this, don't do that. So if you get a deluge of rain, does the ground is probably so dried out it can't even absorb the water right now, can it?
Well,
run off.
It's basically
flood?
That's why they say they have flash flooding, which is not uncommon, especially like in the desert. Mm-hmm. When they get rain and it's torrential, you'll get that flooding because the ground can't soak it up fast enough.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bev is saying that they're supposed to be getting in the 50s on Monday. There in Ohio.
Well, winter is officially over for Texas, I'm pretty sure, for southeast Texas, where we got up to the low 70s today, and we got in the studio, and I was, sweating.
But that's not uncommon for
I
you.
heard cicadas outside. That's when you know things are warming up. When you hear the cicadas singing, it's warmed up. So, I hope you enjoyed all 4 days of winter. Wasn't it fun?
So, what did you do today, Solana?
Somebody woke me up, drugged me out of bed, and took me to the auto parts store.
Yeah, but, you needed your bulb fixed on your car.
Yeah.
And mine was completely out, and I needed
but mine is a stupid issue. It keeps happening. It keeps reoccurring.
It was loose, and it just popped off.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I like your solution to fix it.
But you got to go do something after that.
Yeah, but it's that's not a big deal anymore. And I meant to tell you, your catfish credit is good until April if you want to not go back. So your catfish coins are good. You
So
got
you
it in the bank.
So you're wanting me to take you there on your birthday?
You could. I mean, I'm just saying, if you're done with that for now, I will give you credit till April.
Okay.
But that's not to say, I wouldn't sneak out and get it on my own. But we need to keep that place in business, is what I'm saying. I don't want it to close or anything. Like the last several ones we used to go to have just like closed for no reason. So, but yeah, that'll be good. And I think you did this because I was sort of making fun of you a little bit.
Yeah, you ratted me out to your dad.
I was talking to my dad on the phone, and I said, you were grumbling that this place that you take me to eat this catfish is, I've not looked at the distance between our house and that restaurant. But it doesn't seem like it took 15 minutes, maybe.
That's because I'm driving, and
it's on the weekend.
And we're taking the Beltway.
Taking two major roadways to get there. However, one of them is under construction. But it's not a big deal. And I was telling you that, not to put you down, but you're being kind of a wuss about it because, one, it wasn't that far. Two, it's easy to get to. And three, when I was growing up in Louisiana, my dad would drive us 2 parishes over to a shack on the side of the road in the middle of a field if they had good catfish consistently on a weeknight. So it just wasn't, that's how committed we were. So I said, I just really question your commitment to all this. I think your priorities are not quite right. And I told that to my dad. He giggled about that because it's all true. But yeah, I don't want to saturate you with going there too much.
Because you feel like we're going to get to a saturation point and you'll never go back?
It happened with Raising Cane's. You liked it so much, and then you're like, no more. I can't take it. And that was you wanting to go. That was when we first moved over to this area, I think. But
no, originally, when we went to Louisiana, I guess for whatever reason, and they had a Cane's up there, I thought, well, this is a novel idea.
Yeah. Well, it is out of Louisiana, I believe. That's out of New Orleans, Raising Cane's.
It reminds me of Sigourney Weaver in Galaxy Quest, where she says, I've got one job to do, and I'm going to do it. And It's stupid.
But I'm going to do it.
And Cane's does chicken strips, and they do a really good job. And crinkle fries.
Their fries are good.
Crinkle fries are delicious. Yeah, I'm
Frinkle?
sorry. Couldn't get that one out.
Frinkle fries. We should get some Frinkle fries and just make them up ourselves, That would be good.
Mm-hmm.
But, so, when I was at work, hold on, let me check something. I have my headphones on backwards. Okay, that feels better. I was at work this week, and I asked one of my coworkers, I said, are you excited about all the blockbuster movies that are coming out this year?
Right.
So, and I would think we start with Captain Marvel. So
yes.
we're theorizing about how she is going to be instrumental and how in Endgame, Avengers Endgame, which will be in April.
Well, what leads up to this is that we've watched every conceivable theory that's out there on YouTube video, and it's like there's not 1 second that goes by that we're not watching something Marvel related, regarding a theory here or a theory there. We're just excited for the upcoming Marvel movies, and unlike Star Wars.
Well, because the movies aren't out, we haven't seen them. We don't know how she fits into the narrative of the MCU. What's her connection with Nick Fury and S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Mm-hmm.
And, of course, definitely we'll see Nick Fury with both working eyes. We'll see a young Coulson.
De-aged.
Yeah, they de-aged them both. Dang it. So, also, they're bringing into this Ant-Man and Hawkeye, who had been under house arrest. They took some deals from the Age of Ultron when that went down. It's like, we'll let you stay at home with your family if you promise not to leave, and if you leave, you'll go to jail and all that stuff. So Ant-Man, I think he fulfilled his deal with house arrest. but he ended up getting lost in the quantum realm when the snap happened, because they were doing something at the end of Ant-Man and the Wasp that got him trapped there. So all the people that were helping him got snapped away, so they couldn't get him back out. So there's also, time vortices in there?
Mm-hmm.
So he could have easily jumped into one of these timelines and to get out of the quantum realm, right? And then he probably finds out what happened. Well, my question is, at the end of Infinity War, Fury is sending some kind of signal back to Captain Marvel, but it's on a weird-looking beeper.
Pager.
Can they name it? And of course, how many pagers were the thing in the 90s, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's when her stuff takes place in the 90s. So I'm thinking, is he sending a message back in time for help to get her to come forward? Is she trapped back in another timeline? I mean, it's like, why would he use such ancient looking technology, for that type of message?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at here, it says there are several theories regarding Carol Danvers' location, which is Captain Marvel, since she's mostly cosmic based. Many are convinced she's in outer space still. Another theory says she might be in the quantum realm, like how Janet Van Dyne was trapped, and then she might run into Scott Lang there, regardless of where she is, why she's been missing the last 2 decades, and how she's able to come up to help in Endgame, we just don't know. It's odd that she didn't lend a hand in all the past threats. So where's she been? Why haven't we called her before? So it appears Danvers has a strong personality. It'd be interesting to see how the other MCU guys take her on, because she seems like she's very strong, independent, doesn't need anybody else. Maybe she doesn't play well with others,
Mm-hmm.
So before Fury turned to dust, he snapped and he got wiped out. But he sent up that beat up, weird looking altered beeper pager. So he was trying to reach out to her after insignia appeared on that device. So we got the impression she's the last hope.
Well, speaking of Disney movies, the big game is tomorrow, I believe, the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
and,
don't care.
this is the time of the year where studios bring out the big guns, interesting commercials. Sorry, Michelle. Bear with me. So, the goat means something's got my goat. And so, Disney's Lucasfilm is not putting out a trailer for Star Wars Episode 9 that's coming out this December.
They're teasing till the last second, huh?
They're really trying to put off any kind of negativity towards this movie because...
Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, because...
Really?
I mean, can you imagine them releasing a trailer right now and then all the fandom...
and then you've got the whole rest of the year to tear it up to pieces.
Exactly. So I think in a way it's smart for them, but at the other end of the spectrum, it's pretty stupid because, you'd want to be pumping this movie up. And, actually it might come out because, you've got the... Star Wars celebration thing coming up where where they all meet and have a spaz fest and
Spaz fest.
and so I just hope for Kathleen Kennedy that she doesn't show up because I know there's a lot of fans out there that do not like her.
Let's start our own local convention, call it Spaz Fest.
So anyway, let's see here. Anything else you want to add to the icing on the cake before we break?
No, I would not have thought you'd ask me a question. So anything prepared? No.
Okay, well, on that magical note, everybody knows, here's the break. And when we come back, hopefully our guests will be ready and large and in charge when we come back.
Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sir Lana.
This is author Jordan Root. You are listening to the Spaceboy Universe.
This is K28, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hi, y'all. This is Lori calling from Texas, and I love listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, this is Dave Cruz, host of Beyond the Strange, and you're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
This is Wendy. I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
Hey, y'all. This is Lorelai DeLille. I listen to Spaceboy Universe. Don't you? Tell your mom and them I said hi.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Sir Lana.
Ben Knight has been making a name for himself the last couple of years as a nerdcore pop culture hip-hop artist, and once you hear him, it's not hard to see why. He takes his cues from the past, the present, and present rappers, but keeps the nerd vibes poppy. In a constantly growing and evolving hip-hop landscape, he's a welcome addition to the genre. His website is BenKnightRaps.com. That's Ben, NIGHTRAPS.com. He grew up in southern Indiana, so he was bound for greatness, and he began talking and reading at an early age. He was on a junior varsity basketball team for one game. He got his first computer in 1995, and he started playing drums around the same time and spent several years in the marching band. He became part of the first DLCCC Championship Team, the John Stamos Experience, and I think that takes care of the biography part on his part. So, how did he come to Nerdcore? So, after years of touring in punk rock and rock bands, he wanted to try something different. He discovered MC Lars several years ago and fell in love with his version of hip hop. Soon after, he discovered Nerdcore artists such as Mega Ran, MC Frontalot, Optimus Rhyme, Samus, and others. Found out he could create hip hop music and have fun with it, and he likes to sing, rap about comic books, video games, science fiction, and movies. So please welcome tonight's guest, Ben Knight. Thank you, Ben, for being here.
Yes, thank you. We appreciate you coming on.
Oh, no, thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it. And for anybody listening, that is, I intentionally kind of put a joke bio on my website. I mean, everything on that is 100% true, but I just always used to get so irritated when I would read band bios that, they wanted to make themselves so big and important. I was like, well, hey, I was the DLCCC, championship dodgeball team, and, I just wanted to make it fun and goofy, but...
I got the same thing. Same thing from my bio on Spaceball Universe. I don't have the least bit interesting thing about me to say. It's all about him. He's got all the, the cred. So mine has got it kind of goofy. So I get you totally.
I also never want to sound braggy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I don't think
I don't think Spaceball has that problem.
But, when I do the braggy thing, it's a part of the ego fun, I'm making light of myself, Sure, I've done some stuff, but, it's all good. And I still, between the Space Cadets, which is our fandom for our show, and my lovely wife, Sirlana, they kind of keep me grounded. In fact, when Sirlana's over on the other side, she's always, giving me the careful, Icarus, you're getting too close to the sun kind of thing, and to keep me grounded. But it keeps life interesting, and so.
Oh, for sure. Believe me, my wife has melted my wax wings more than once, sir. Believe me.
So it's good to have a significant other to kind of let us do our thing and to
blackmail into doing podcasts with.
Yeah, that's a whole story that how we started was. Basically, I roped her into this thing like the Meeseeks, I roped her into it and I haven't let her go out of it. But at least she knows where I'm at. Yeah. Is that pretty much the case with you, Ben?
I would say that my wife is pretty supportive. I've been playing music since I was, 10 years old. And, I met my wife, it'll be 10 years this year. And, she's always been very supportive. As far as, letting me tour and, much like many other musicians, I do have 2 young kids and I hate being away from them. That's the worst. But my wife's always really cool about it. And, believe me, there are plenty of nights. I have a studio out back of the house and, believe me, there are plenty of nights where, nothing gets done musically until after bedtime, that kind of deal. But, and that's fine. That's, being a husband, being a father, that always comes first. And then, I find that the significant other is much cooler about stuff when that stuff comes first, and it should. So
right. Well, good. So tell us about a young Ben back in Indiana. What was it like growing up in Indiana?
Well, it's kind of, in Indiana, in the late 80s, early 90s, everything seemed pretty, it was just, everything was pretty bland. Everything was pretty the same. You kind of just grew up listening to John Mellencamp. You played basketball. Where I grew up, marching band was king because our football team sucked, our baseball team sucked. And in fact, if you go to my hometown of Spencer, Indiana, there's a giant billboard as you enter and exit that pretty much hypes the marching band because that's what we were kind of known for. But I mean, only child, single mother, I mean, just a pretty, I mean, for the most part, a pretty basic, growing up as far as in southern Indiana. I mean, corn, John Mellencamp, basketball. That's pretty much it, man, for the most part. But no, I have a really great family, and they were always super supportive. And when I wanted to, I played music for a long time, and I kind of chased my dreams, way far away out of state, and my family was always super supportive of that. And so, I mean, it was, it was good.
So, in marching band, were you a part of the drum corps, or did you play something different?
So where I went to high school, a lot of people will take band or art or something like that as kind of just like an easy A kind of class. In my high school, it didn't work that way. So if you were in band, you were in band, period. So you were in the marching band, you were in the concert band, you were in pep band, it's funny because a lot of people think band, again, is just kind of it's a bunch of nerds just, with their instruments, but it's a lot of work, man. I mean, in marching band, again, because we were one of the best in the state, they took it very seriously. So, I mean, it would be, all summer long while people were going to the pool and hanging out with their friends, we were on hot asphalt for 3 straight months, during weekends and during weekdays, sometimes for 12, 14 hours a day. I mean, from right when the sun came up till when the sun was going down. And it's a lot more work than people think. I mean, especially if you're somebody that plays that. No, I didn't, but yeah, I mean, I didn't play tuba, but those big guys for 12 hours a day out on hot pavement. I'm sure there were many days they were like, forget this, So no, it was. I mean, believe me, it was way more than just showing up and playing a couple of notes. And even in concert band, we had to always. It was always, you always had to play more and more difficult pieces of music, and if you weren't cutting it, then, again, it doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but they drop your chair rank, and, you might even just get kicked out of the band if you weren't, pulling your weight.
Right. Now, imagine that in Texas heat, and yes, I played tuba when I was in marching band, but lucky for me, eventually I was able to, the school I was at bought a synthesizer, and I managed to make the transition from playing tuba to playing keyboards, and so that was nice to make that transition. So I definitely feel for you about being on the asphalt and trying to learn all the positions and the the.
I've understood how. I mean, not only do you have to know how to read music, but you also have to know how to play your instrument and march. Choreograph. I'm like, that blows my mind that a person's able to do that.
Now,
yeah, and there's, I mean, sorry, and then, there again, it's one of those things where, again, people look at it and go, they're just walking around. But you're right. I mean, there is, just like any concert you go to where there's background dancers. I mean, there is some definite choreography going on, and some of these, there's actually in the marching band world, it's referred to as the running man. And basically, what it is, and you might even know, it's basically where you have basically the entire band. And you're just zipping by each other, all of you, as fast as humanly possible, and you're literally inches away from each other. And it's a dangerous move, but it looks really cool when you do it. But, many of people have had, knocked out a tooth or broken their leg, or, because, I mean, it's not, it's not the most difficult thing in the world, but it is one of those things where, like you said, trying to play these notes and trying to stay in rhythm, and they are judging things on literally how high your toe is popped up off the ground, and whether you're all in sync. And out of 300 people, if 4 people are out of time, it's so noticeable.
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever participate in those Battle of the Marching Bands where you see them on Fathom events in the movie theater, be here, you can see this stuff live and see them compete?
So kind of like the movie Drumline?
I guess. I like the actual videos you can see on YouTube of marching bands. They take it very seriously.
You're not wrong. Everyone takes it very seriously. In southern Indiana, it was less about. So, like, if you go somewhere like Atlanta, Georgia, or in the South especially, there's a lot more swagger to it.
I'm from Louisiana.
There's definitely a lot.
We have the world-famous Grambling State University marching band.
Well, when I was in marching band, I'm from a small town, Bandera, Texas. And so it was more of a community thing, a certain spirit. You had your football team and the band.
Pageantry in the South.
Yes. So I know I had lots of fun when we would go on the road. They'd pack the band up and we'd go to wherever the football team was playing and we'd play at those events. And I thought those were always fun to do myself, the traveling part.
Oh, for sure. I mean, it was, it's one of those things where, you'd take off on a Friday, and sometimes you'd have to spend the night, depending on how far away you went. And, for us, we were good enough. We got we played the Kentucky Derby Parade every year, and then we got to march in the Macy's Day Parade, which that was really cool. But it was. It was ridiculous temperatures. It was freezing. I can't remember. It was somewhere in the teens of people that got frostbite out of the band. So, but it was a lot of fun. But it is always a lot of work. It's a whole lot of getting there as fast as humanly possible, and then all of a sudden you're standing in a uniform that you should not be standing around in when it's 103 degrees outside, and you're standing there, and all of a sudden you got to go. And again, like I said, it's not like digging a ditch or anything, but it wasn't uncommon to go to a contest and see people pass out from heat. Just there they are marching and playing, all of a sudden just dropping like flies. It's like, okay, maybe we shouldn't be doing this today. So
you were in that in high school and band, so you just continued your love of music. So you've got marching band is they can take pop music, make it into a marching band song, but have you always had this love for rap, or did that evolve over time?
Actually, for me, and this is going to lower my street cred for anybody who hears it, but for me, it's never necessarily been, like, for me, rap to me is very selective. So, I'm not a Kanye West fan. I'm not a Snoop Dogg fan. I'm not a Dr. Dre fan. Mm-hmm. To be honest with you, I'm not even an Eminem fan. Now, I am certain songs of theirs I'm fans of, but because they have a hook, or because there's a certain melody to the way they're doing things. But, rap to me, the thing that I like about rap is that you're able to tell. It's kind of like being able to squeeze 3 hours of content into an hour and a half movie. So or even more than that, like you're trying to pack years into an hour and a half of a movie. So like for me, in a 3.5, 4 minute song, I'm trying to tell this, what might be an elaborate story, but you're able to do it because, not even necessarily because you can put more words in there, but you most certainly can, than like a normal pop or country or, whatever kind of song. But there's also a bit of, poetry involved, and not like in like a, like a really snooty way, but there's just something interesting about that particular genre. So it's always kind of appealed to me, but not in the same way as, I wouldn't look at somebody like, I don't idol other, or, for me, other rappers. I don't look at them and go, wow, man, they're amazing. I wish I could be more like that. For me, it's more about, I just like to kind of take things from each one of them and go, oh, I really like how they do this. I should probably apply that to my music.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically, for you, it's like a hybrid version of taking the core, if you will, the hip-hop, and just kind of making it your own based on, I guess, what was it, Nerdcore is, and I'm sorry, I sound like an old man just thinking about this, and it's really sad because I love pop culture, and being a musician myself, some of my idols have been like, the 80 synth pop groups, and my style has been based upon that. But you mentioned in your bio that you also, your beginnings have been pop, punk, and rock bands. Can you address some of your influences there?
Oh, for sure. Well, for me, like, I always lean heavily on melody. Like, I love melody. Mm-hmm. So, I grew up, I kind of like we all do, I had my wallet chain and punk rock phase where, I loved the Ramones and the Clash and those kind of bands. But the thing that always stuck with me was, like, I liked poppier music. Like, I loved, Billy Joel. I loved, Huey Lewis and the News. Like, these were guys that were writing what sounded like very simple songs, but then once you broke them down, you're like, oh, it's just a good pop song. But once you broke it down, you're like, oh no, there's a lot going on here. There's jazz going on here. There's blues going on here. There's, just straight up rock and roll. But it's, but it's not like, it's not like Metallica. It's not like,
right.
A harder band. It's, and there's nothing wrong with those bands. I mean, I can appreciate a hard band just as much, but the idea of crafting, not even a perfect pop song, but even to write a good pop song, and that's an ugly word to a lot of people because they hear pop and they go, ugh, Britney Spears, Justin Bieber. Like, no, right. I mean, yes, that's a small part of it, but, there's so many musicians and artists out there that are just amazing songwriters, and not because they can play, 100 notes in 3 seconds, or because they're, there are plenty of bands out there. I mean, for me, a perfect example would be the band Counting Crows. Now, a lot of people don't like the Counting Crows, and millions of people do, but you can't deny, no matter how annoying you might find the song Mr. Jones now, I mean, it was a perfectly written song. Now, yes, 20 years later, yeah, it's a little bit like fingers on a chalkboard because you've heard it so many times. Mm-hmm. Now, that's not the Counting Crows' fault. I mean, they wrote a great pop rock song, and they, they had many hits after. I mean, they probably had, well, I'll lowball it and say they probably had like at least 8 or 9 number ones, of hits. So they knew what they were doing. So for me, yeah, I mean, early on, I was always big into. I started playing the drums when I was 13 years old. Mm-hmm. Moved on to playing bass and things like that. And like I said, it took a long time as far as, I mean, what really kind of happened is I kind of moved to the middle of nowhere with my wife, and finding musicians was really hard to do. So I kind of just decided, kind of what happened is my wife and I moved into a new house, and I was just kind of had my Pandora playing. And I don't know what the station was. It was just some pop punk station or something. And MC Lars came on. And I was like, this is weird. Like, it's just this nerdy guy who's kind of rapping, but it didn't sound like any rap I'd ever heard, because it sounded more like, I'm trying to think of the best. It was like a nerdy pop song, but it had this guy who wasn't like a stereotypical, like he was clearly a white guy, who was rapping, but I just liked what it was. It was a goofy song, but it was, it was funny, but there was a melody, and it was just really interesting to me, and instantly I just kind of fell in love with it, and I was like, I think I can probably do this. And so, yeah, it kind of went from, like I said, touring in rock bands and stuff, and all of a sudden I was like, I should give this a shot.
Well, I know that earlier today that Sirlana and I were talking, and I was telling her, well, lyrically he sounds very sound. Musically, the production sounds great, and so I mean, what I heard from the 2 samples you gave us was very enjoyable, and then so I know you've got some rock solid good music training there, and it's. We're kind of bringing it back here, like the Billy Joel and Huey Lewis. Billy Joel is, a great musician, a wonderful wordsmith, and musically, his music is very solid. And then Huey Lewis, a great singer. I've heard him sing some of the classics, and he's just, I could listen to him, just nonstop. He was in that movie, and I'm trying to remember it, where they were doing this karaoke thing where they were going around, and he, of course, he can sing. He's got the chops for it. It's some great sound foundation for you as far as some of the musicians you've labeled here are brought up. Hey, we're about to hit the the top of the hour, so Ben, hold tight, and we will be back with more conversations with Ben Knight. Let's see if I can get that going. There we go. All right, and you're doing good. This is a 5-minute break, so if you need to get a refresher beverage or if you need to make a pit stop, you've definitely got 5 minutes to do it.
Okay, no, I've been you might notice I'm on speakerphone, but it's intentional. That way I can hit mute whenever I cough or anything like that. Try not to have any, try not to give you any weird pops or anything. But thank you for the compliment. I appreciate that. Billy Joel and Duets is the movie you were thinking of.
Yes, that is.
It's a simple question.
I actually bought that movie simply because, I didn't know anything else about it except for I'm a huge Paul Giamatti fan, and I love Huey Lewis. That's the only reason I got it.
Solana will tell you the same, that I'm big on Paul. But yeah, it's a great movie. I enjoy it immensely. In fact, I was doing the karaoke scene pretty hard when that movie came out. And I really like this. It's a great movie. But yeah, Huey Lewis, great sound, great chops. I've always enjoyed his music. And of course, Billy Joel, the piano man himself, he did that stint in Las Vegas with Elton John for a few shows, and that was pretty crazy and wonderful to have those two get together. My musical thing goes back into the early 70s, and so Elton John, and then when Billy Joel came along in the late 70s with a lot of his prolific writing. Was great to listen to.
I was actually living in Fargo, North Dakota when they were on that tour, and I wanted to go. They came to the Civic Center there, and I desperately wanted to go, but the tickets were $135 a piece. And at the time, I was a pretty broke musician, but to this day, I'm still a little bummed that I missed it.
I know I hate asking questions during a break because usually we try to save it for what? But
well, that's all right. You can hold on to them. Believe me, I'm a talker. That's for doggone sure. And you might hear me every now and then because I'm desperately trying to breathe, and so I'm trying to push out like a million words a second.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Sir Ron.
I guess in the immortal words of PewDiePie, I pulled an oopsie.
Did an oopsie?
Yeah, I did an oopsie. I'm sorry. But thanks for the cadets out there for keeping us straight.
Thanks, Gene.
Yeah, thanks, Gene. So Ben, we were talking about during the break, how I get why do I even bother during the break? Because the majority of our audience already kind of heard it anyway. But I had something lined up to ask you, and
well, if you don't, I've got something.
Go ahead, Solana.
I like to talk more about the topics that you rap about, or it's in your music. I checked out your 2 videos, and I was really struck by "To Boldly Go to a Galaxy Far, Far Away." I don't know are you really invested in either or both of those fandoms, and you feel like there's a schism that could be healed, or is it just something was fun for you to rap about?
So that song in particular actually does have meaning behind it. Mm. So the other artist that's on that track is another nerdcore hip-hop artist named Mega Ran. Mm-hmm. Used to go by the name Randa, but most people would know him by Mega Ran now. But we wanted to do a song, like I said, look, man, I want to do a song that talks about Star Wars versus Star Trek. Now, it's not much of there's not much of like a quarrel. I mean, there's some, you go to some people like, Star Wars is better, Star Trek, whatever. I think they're both good. I think they both have their merits. I'm not a diehard Star Trek fan. I'm also not a diehard Star Wars fan. There are movies that I like way more than both of them, or television shows, whatever. But with this one, I said, you know what? Let's find a way we can, let's eke in a message here. Like, let's say, look, no matter what it is you like, let's take it beyond the platform of just Star Wars, Star Trek. Let's take that out of the equation. Like, no matter what it is that you like, whether it's, hot button stuff like politics, religion, whether it's, sci-fi or comedy or romantic comedies, or if you like ice cream, you don't like ice cream. Basically, all the stupid things that we fight about as human beings that mean absolutely nothing because they're all subjective. Like, that's kind of what this song is. It's kind of saying, look, I like this, you like that. Why can't we just both like what we like and be okay with it and just kind of live in this space of, oh, you like that, I like this. Oh, we're totally cool. And so what's funny is the feedback when that song first came out 2 years ago, it was really funny because some people were like, this song is stupid because nobody cares about this. And then right underneath that would be somebody like, dude, then you get people that are like, oh, I'm all about Star Wars, Star Trek can suck it, or, whatever. And then every now and again, there'd be a comment where somebody said, oh, I get what you're trying to do here. Like, you're saying, like, Star Trek, Star Wars, who gives a crap? Like, at the end of the day, does this stuff, as far as, like, just being a human being, does this stuff matter? Is it more important that I like something that you don't, or is it more important that you and I just get along, for Pete's sake? So,
yeah, unfortunately, we don't live in that world anymore where people can see the big picture of what matters and what doesn't.
But I really enjoyed the message out of that.
Yeah, and I enjoyed it because it feels like once upon a time that was true. There was more of a little war between those two fandoms, and I used to be hardcore Trek, and now I'm like, I can take it or leave it, but I still have my core things that I like. I still have certain episodes, like I will go back and watch them at a certain time of year every year without fail, but I'm just like, I guess that's because I've matured or I've just moved on, but I still have certain affection, but I'm just like, whatever. But I really do appreciate that. Like you said, you can make it more universal and apply to anything, but I hate the fact that we seem to live in a culture where people just miss these good messages.
Well, and it's, one of my pet peeves of late is, for me, like, and I have a song about it, so I'm not really outing myself. I have a song, one of my first songs that I want to redo one of these days, because my first album's a little rough, but once it's out there on iTunes, it's out there. So but I have a song called ILCF, and that's an acronym for I Love Chick Flicks. Now, I do. Like, there's just no getting around it. Like, when my wife and I first got together, you know, we put our movie collections together, and now granted, hers was probably 1/80th of my collection.
Yeah, same here.
But you would have thought that her movies were my movies and my movies were her movies because, you know, there was everything from, like, Say Anything and, you know, I mean, When Harry Met Sally. Just imagine every quote-unquote romantic comedy or chick flick or whatever you want to call them. Like, I have them all. Like, I love them all. I just love the idea of humor and the idea of just, like, I've always been one of those guys where, like, I love the idea of love, the idea of, you know, again that thing, and not even romantic love, but just, again, that camaraderie, that ability to get beyond the things that, you know, the stupidest things that we think are so doggone important, and finding a way to get around them. Because that's, I mean, when you break down a rom-com, they're all pretty much exactly the same. You know, this guy's dating somebody he shouldn't be, this girl's dating somebody she shouldn't be, they meet, meet cute, and then, you know, it's pretty formulaic, but the overall idea to me is just awesome. But I have no idea why I took this turn. I started talking about it now, I don't even know.
Do you approach the topics of love in anything you've ever written about, or is it just about
I imagine the subject matter that he talks or sings about in his songs must come from a love of things nerd related. So, right?
Oh, and yeah, that's okay. That's kind of where we're circling. Yeah, so you know, So for me, you know, as of recently, the thing that's kind of been on my nerves is, you know, comic book movies now, you know, are this gigantic spectacle. You know, everything from, you know, Ant-Man to the Hulk to Thor to Iron Man. You know, now the Avengers, and you know, the one that was always so huge for years was Batman. You know, Batman was this, you know, this huge property, and you know, you have people that are like, DC is better. No, Marvel is better. And the only thing that irritates me when I play these shows and I meet these people, and you know, they're like, how come you don't have a song about this, you know, or a song about this? And I'm just like, look, we live in an era and an age where, like, can you believe what I just saw on that screen for 2.5 hours? Like, that's unbelievable. Like, I mean, if you watch, you know, in 1989, you know, the first Batman came out, and people were blown away. They're like, holy cow, Jack Nicholson is the Joker? This is unbelievable. And then all of a sudden, here comes Heath Ledger 20 years later, and people are like, Jack who? You know, I mean, it's just... So, I mean, the stuff they can do now, like, you know, I can't stand the Transformers movies, but I can sit there and watch them and go, I can't believe somebody can do this. Like, that's unbelievable. And so, like, for me... I've always been that way. I've always tried to. I want to encompass. I don't want to push away. You know, I'll be playing some Comic-Cons and different shows this year. You know, where honestly, the majority of the people that are there, like, I don't like any of the stuff they do, but it doesn't matter. You know, and they may not even like most of my songs, but they might hear one of my songs and go, yes, like that's, you know, that's the thing I care. And again, it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't matter if the thing that they spend every day of their life, like, just loving to death, is like the one thing that I cannot stand. You know, it doesn't matter because at the end of the day, like, well, that's what I mean. I mean, at the end of the day, it just doesn't matter. I mean, they're still a human being. I'm still a human being. Like, we can at least find some common ground.
That's what saves marriages. I'm laughing because somebody here has been obsessing over Star Wars, and I'm just like having to live around it, you know. And I'm just like, in the end, we're all going to die, and it won't matter. But he's not seeing that, so I'm just okay. Whatever. Well, I'll move along.
I have my level of angst, but you know, it's not to the point where I've seen other people bring it to it, you know. And I've got the, you know, several different channels I watch on
several. I mean, endless channels about I call them Star Wars upset video channels. People upset about, Star Wars. But
Star Wars,
that's
Star Trek.
his thing, and I let him have it. And I have my obsessions, which I just keep to myself because I don't really have an outlet to talk about. So I fully get that. I mean, I can respect the fact that, you've got these obsessions, but when you start, when people start like, this is valid for me, so it should be valid for everyone, I can't stand that. That's what absolutely turns me off.
But going back...
No, and sorry, I was just going to say, I've literally lost fans that, where I've said on, radio shows or other podcasts where I said, look, I'm not even that big of a, especially the new Star Wars, I don't get it. I can watch the old ones. I mean, I can watch the old ones and I understand why I like them. I get it. And then when, episodes 1, 2, and 3 came out, there were things that I could find in the first one was just, I had a hard time watching it. I just did. I was just like, this is not, but you know what? That's okay, because I came to the conclusion directly after the movie ended that I think a lot of people who are huge Star Wars fans have come to the conclusion now, is that 1, 2, and 3 were not made for the generation that loved 4, 5, and 6.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There were these movies that I'm sure now when George Lucas first. Now, what's funny is, I mean, if you go back, and any Star Wars buff will be able to tell you, when they were making the first Star Wars movie, A New Hope, it was. I mean, everyone who was working on it thought it was a B movie. They're like, all the production designers and all the different people were like, they just thought they were putting Spaceballs on. They didn't know it was going to be this enormous, huge space opera that was going to define, cinema for decades. So, it's just, now, I sat down and tried to watch Rogue One. I fell asleep, and I wasn't tired. I mean, it just didn't interest me. Now, that doesn't mean it's a bad movie or there's anything wrong with it. I'm sure in many ways it's an amazing, I mean, for Pete's sakes, just the special effects are just mind-blowing. There's no denying that, but I mean, if it's not for you, it's not for you, and that's totally okay. But yeah, it's one of those things where, someone's fandom shouldn't be affected by me. If you love something, I support that. Just because I don't like something, I still support the fact that you love it. So, if you love Star Wars, then I'm like, yes, you should love Star Wars, and you should love it with all your heart until you go, I'm moving on.
True. Every journey has an ending, and sometimes you reach a point in your journey, it's time to let go. So, at least I have that mindset that, the new stuff is for the kids these days, and I may not totally appreciate it or like it, but that's just the old man in me coming out. But if they like it, then more power to them, But it is what it is.
I have opinions, but
well,
I won't drag us down into Star Wars stuff. So.
Oh, no worries. I mean, a perfect example for me. So, I mean, anybody who might notice, I'm sick as a dog right now, but I kind of we had an emergency the last time I was supposed to come on the podcast, and I was like, no, I can't cancel. So right now I have 102-degree fever, and I'm trying to breathe. So my kids are sick and I'm sick, and so when this happens, and this is where I will inflate every female ego listening right now and say, look, when men get sick, yes, we are incredible babies. We are. And
Ben, you need to calm down, man. Calm down.
It's true. It's you get the man flu where you're going to die every day.
I won't lie to you though. This one is really kicking my butt. But I've been just kind of hibernating on the couch, and there are just certain things. I think everyone has their TV show or their movie or their video game, whatever it is that they do whenever they're sick. There's just something you do.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, there's a handful of movies, but then I was okay, I just want to I can't watch a movie. I'm going to pull out the old Nintendo, the old NES, and just kind of, just let my mind go.
Right.
And I started playing And I was like, oh no, I'm starting to reach that point in my life too, where like I still love Nintendo. I'm kind of like that guy who's like, when people go, hey, do you have a PlayStation or an Xbox? I'm like, and actually, I probably wouldn't even have a PS3, except for my wife bought it for me for Christmas years ago. Which, in all honesty, I was joking when I said, "Oh, I'd take a PS3," because I just said it, just thinking that's $400. She's not going to buy me a $400 video game system, and then she did. So, but and it's not even, again, like, I can appreciate all the new stuff, but it's just like for me, I would rather be watching, or I'd rather be writing a song than playing a video game now.
Mm-hmm.
But I realized as I was laying here on the couch and I'm playing these Nintendo games, I'm like, oh no, like, the little boy in me is starting to die.
I so relate, sir.
And it's super hard because, like, again, I think, well, it was funny, I don't know if you guys have been following, Bill Maher was kind of ripping into everybody after Stan Lee died,
right,
about, how adults are, shouldn't be acting like giant children and all that stuff. And, what's sad about that is and here's what, I'll preface it with this. I don't necessarily disagree with him to a point. Now, yes, it's true, like, if you are a 40-something-year-old man and, like, you live in your parents' basement and you don't contribute to society at all, maybe a little, try a little harder, I mean, and if you do, I'm not judging you, but, I mean, I get where he's coming from on that. However, I do think and especially for me, being a father of young kids, I want my kids to have an imagination. I want them to stay children as long as possible. And then once they grow up, like, I want them to, like, keep that, like, by the time they're old enough to really appreciate things when they become teenagers and different things, like, I want to be able to go, I know why you love that so much. Like, I want to be able to tell my daughter, like, when she has her first boyfriend and she's heartbroken, like, I don't want to be that parent that goes, you'll get over it. I'll go, no, I get it. Like, at this moment, this is the most earth-shattering thing that has ever happened to you. I get it. Like, I totally get it. Like, when my son comes home and goes, one of these days he's going to stop believing in Santa, and that sucks. Because, or the elf on the shelf. Like, I'll be honest with you, though, after the first 7,000 positions of putting an elf on the shelf thing, like, I'm running out of ideas, so I do hope they figure that out sooner or later. But
the idea of the magic leaving them is sad in a way, I guess, for you, huh?
Oh, it's heartbreaking because, like, I don't want it to leave me. Like, my wife and I have talked about this constantly, and I'm being honest when I say it, and I don't care who says that I'm immature about it. I hope that when I'm 130,000 years old, when I die, I hope the very last thing is I take one last breath and I fart. I hope that's the last thing I do because I want to make somebody laugh when I die. Like, I want to still have that youth in me when I go, because it doesn't matter how old you get, like, and it's so stupid, but every grown man all over the world, when they hear a fart, they laugh. That's just how it goes.
Can't help it. That's it. He's right.
Is that why you're laughing all night long, or?
I don't pay any attention to you.
Oh, see.
You're too busy having these weird, unconscious conversations out loud. To notice any of that. He does crazy stuff when he's asleep, so things you wouldn't believe. Lots of talking and
for me, like a perfect example, since we're talking about pop culture and movies and stuff, so like the movie Good Will Hunting, there's the part in the movie where Robin Williams' character is talking about the things that he misses the most about his wife, and literally one of the things is, like, she farts in her sleep, and, like, one night she farted so loud it woke her up and the dog, and he had to say that it was him even though he knew it was her, and it's one of those things where, like, you could write it off as just like okay, well, but, like, to him, again, it's just part of that, like, what the beauty in all of us, man, I'm really starting to sound like a hippie. I'm really not. The beauty is that we all like have something special, and like it's a very overused phrase, but I mean, you do miss those things when they're gone. And they don't have to be such big things. I mean, like I said, if it's your wife or husband that farts in the middle of the night, or it's, I know that my wife is very supportive of me, but at the same time, my wife can very quickly become the person that, she goes from best friend to worst enemy in the blink of an eye. Now, that's okay, because we're going to have those days, but, if she wasn't around, I would certainly miss her browbeating me every now and again. I know I would.
He's giving me you're looking at me like...
Ben sounds like a very wise man, even though he in a hippie kind of way, but there's nothing wrong with that. I've told the audience that my parents were hippies and
legitimate hippies.
Yeah. So, but you should listen to Ben.
Yeah, sure. I'll take that under advisement. I told him, I said, look, if you're unhappy in this marriage, you're free to go at any time. You will be missing both of your kneecaps and the ability to walk, but you're still free to go, anytime you want.
Okay, everybody listening right now, that was assault. Call 911. No, just kidding. It's one of those things, and believe me, definitely stop me if I'm like, okay, what you guys need to do is if you hold this amethyst crystal in your right palm, like if I start saying stuff like that, like please just hang up. But I've always been, and that's the other thing I like about the nerdcore, and actually what I call it nerdcore. That was actually a name that was given this particular genre of music, years ago. There was a nerdcore rapper named MC, he's still around, MC Frontalot, and he has an album called Nerdcore Rising. Well, people went, okay, it's called nerdcore. And for me, I kind of consider what I do, like that's why I kind of consider, I'm a pop culture hip-hop guy, or I kind of, what I call my stuff is hip-pop, because it's kind of more, like I don't try to spit out a bunch of words, I try to keep my flow pretty slow for the most part, so everybody can understand what it is that I'm saying. And for the most part, I try to make sure that my choruses have a hook and kind of a pop sensibility. So for me, like I said, I use the term hippie, but I really do want to try to be more of a, when I talk to people, what's funny is people will literally play, they can play my music for their kids and their grandparents and their parents, and so like for me, I get emails and messages, and people post stuff on iTunes and stuff, and I literally have fans that are in their 60s and 70s, and I'm not related to them. I have fans that are 6 years old, and I love that. Like, you meet so many people that are like, I want my audience, like I want my core audience, these people that like this and like this. I'm like, I want anybody who likes anything to listen to my music. Like, if they don't like it, that's okay. And if they do, that's great. At the same time, like, if I'm playing a show, like, I've had people that come up to me and, like, I hate your music, but you're pretty funny, And, it's like, I don't know how to take that, but I guess I'm like, all right, cool. I mean, that's the funniest part to me is I've had people come up to me, they're just like, yeah, I hate your music, but hey, you want to go grab a burger or something? I'm like, yeah, let's go hang out, Like, to me, it's just...
They found something they enjoyed about you.
Yeah, I mean, it's, I always, sometimes I'll say on stage, like, I'm like, hey, so I played a show yesterday and, it proved that, you can't please everybody all the time, and all of those people were at my show last night, so let's try to make this one better, So, what are you going to do?
Well, I think that's great that, like, I didn't like your music, but you seem like a cool guy. That is a sign of maturity right there. But I'm just trying to imagine what it'd be like if Spaceboy here ever performed live like that.
That's one thing, regrettably, I have not done in my musical career is perform live. Not for the lack of content, because I have lots of music. It just... I guess it takes a little bit of stuff, being,
the production value on that would probably be intense, because it'd be like the Pet Shop Boys, where it has to be pre-cued on the computer, and then you could do some live accompaniment, but it'd have to be very, I guess, precision. You'd have to get other people involved.
But it is on my bucket list, Ben. One day I'll make it happen. But shifting gears back to you, you said you've gone out and done your own little concerts. How has that been for you, as far as, does it fulfill something inside you that you haven't been able to do, maybe not doing it, I guess? And I know it sounds discombobulated when I'm trying to get it across.
No, it makes perfect sense. Well, so for me, one of the biggest things, as far just musically speaking, I just want to keep making music. Mm-hmm. And, even though I do have my own studio, there are still people that I would rather have do certain things and things like that. And that costs money. It just does. Everything costs money, and there's time involved, and sometimes you have to pay money to try to have any time at all. And so for me, just getting as many people to hear that music as possible. I mean, it doesn't matter if, all my stuff is on iTunes, Amazon, Google Play, everywhere you can get digital music, but if people don't know that it's there, they'll never hear it. And so, for me, getting and off the musical side of it, I just love people. I do. I mean, I toured for 7 years in another band, and, we went all over the United States, and our biggest thing was, what always bummed me out is when we were on the road is we were always a pretty positive band. We were always nobody after the show, we're signing autographs for 3-4 hours, instead of going to sleep or hanging out with other bands, or that was always more important. It's you need to show appreciation to the people that are allowing you to do this. It costs money to, people might make fun of again, now I'm like many musicians, once we get into our 30s, I'm married, I have 2 kids, my wife has her vehicle, and so the only touring vehicle I have now is literally a minivan. That's just how it is. And people will laugh at it, but I'm well, I've toured in a conversion van, I've toured in a tour bus, you just do whatever you have to do. And, for somebody like me who's in a genre that, is certainly not reinventing the wheel, nor is it a gigantic, hit sensation, I'm stoked when 50 people, 100 people show up for a show. Mm-hmm. I'm super happy, especially if those people are there to see me play. That's amazing. It's great. And, there was a Comic-Con that just reached out, and they said, hey, and actually it's in Texas. I'm brain farting the name of it at the moment, but they said, they're hey, we would love, we've heard from these people about you, we'd love for you to come down and play. Is it okay if, the wherever you're playing in this pavilion or whatever, if it's not full? I'm look, I've played in front of 15,000 people. I've played in front of the person that put on the show. It doesn't matter. I'm there to play, and as long as, and the worst part is, it is music business. It just is. So, of course, I need to make enough money to get from point A to point B and then get back to point A again. I'm not asking for a king's ransom or trying to, again, I'm a dad now, mm-hmm. and I'm a husband, so, I gotta pay the mortgage, gotta pay the water bill, right, and things like that. But I still want to be able to, and that's another reason why people have asked me why I put out EPs instead of full-length albums. And part of the reason of that is, the genre. I don't know about you, I grew up, and I to this day, I still love Weird Al Yankovic.
Yes.
I think he's a genius.
Yes.
I think
awesome.
He took, the reason he started is because he hated the music that he heard on the radio. He hated it, mm-hmm. and he wanted to make fun of it. And and he turned it into like a 40-year career. Like, that's genius. And then he was able to put like his goofy, funny pop rock songs, you know, along with these covers, or, you know, and these parodies. And I'll be honest with you, though, as much as I love Weird Al, I have a hard time listening to 10 or 12 straight songs of Weird Al Yankovic. And that's not because of, it's just because of the music. Like, it's because of it's just, you can only take so much silly, you know?
Right.
And for me, even though my songs aren't like, you know, totally outwardly like goofy or silly, you know, I don't have a song called Harvey the Wonder Hamster, which anybody listening, that is a Weird Al song. But I still do talk about things like, you know, like one of the songs I sent you was Thank You, Mario.
Right.
And that song has been getting very mixed reviews because the problem is it's a very poppy song, like, or that it's a little different for me in that the majority of the song is more sung and there's a lot more melody to it. And so, excuse me. And so it's been getting a lot more play on like pop radio or pop Spotify stations and different stuff, but people don't know how to deal with it because they're like, okay, this is like, the problem is it's playing along with stuff that, again, like, you know, Britney Spears or Ariana Grande, and like that song does not belong there. But the reason it's there is because it's in that vein as far as the music is concerned. But it's literally a song about the very first Super Mario, the first Super Mario Brothers game for NES, and it's literally about that. That's all it's about. So a lot of people are like, what is this song? Like, if you're not in that world, I mean, there are plenty of people that have never played, like, if you ask somebody who's a teenager right now if they've ever played the first Super Mario Brothers, I guarantee you probably, I'll lowball and say 60% of them have never played Super Mario Brothers, you know? Right. And so they would have, and even if they did, they wouldn't know names or specific things about, you know, like some of the stuff I'm talking about is literally in the fourth level of each world in Super Mario Brothers, and it's about specific things in Koopa's castle or whatever. So like they would never know, you know, or they wouldn't even know his name's Koopa. They would be like that big lizard thing, you know. So,
well, Ben, we're at the bottom of the hour. You feeling good? Can you go another 30 minutes?
Oh, I'll be honest with you. I'll just hook myself up to an IV. I'll go all day.
Okay. All right. So we'll be back with more with Ben Knight. So stay there.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sir Lana.
The epic battle begins this Friday. Direct from ringside at Laser Death Melt Pit. Bot versus Bot in Galaxy's 2-ton weight championship, where your challenger, Good Bot, will face the reigning champion, Bad Bot.
You're terminated.
Reserve seating starting at $30. 2-drink minimum, where ladies don't get in free. This is an SBU production. You're listening to Spaceboy Universe.
listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Sir Lana.
Yeah, Ben, I was going to bring up, how you were mentioning about family and all that. I guess my greatest concern is I don't really have children myself, but as far as doing the concert thing, I'm at that point where I'm a half a century old, and I worry about, when am I going to do this? When am I going to take off and
Is it
just...
going to be too late ever?
Yeah. And, I feel, I look in the mirror and I see my young inner boy fading away, and I see my dad finally, growing into my face, and my parents, and, aging, and it's a terrible thing. It's the worst thing for somebody with a Peter Pan complex.
Oh, no, for sure. By the way, are we back?
Yes.
Yes, we're back.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Just wanted to make sure. Well, I mean, to comment on the Peter Pan thing, I have a song actually called Never Ending in Neverland that came out 2 years ago. It was on the same album. It's called Lyrical Masterpieces, which is a tongue-in-cheek title. But it's all about, like, the pros and cons of being that Peter Pan. So, like, the song is all about, like, basically Wendy's brothers, Peter and Michael, like, when they went to Neverland, and they thought it was going to be awesome, but then they realized, oh man, like, I'll never be able to go to a PG-13 movie because I'm 10, or whatever, like, or, I'm always going to have the shoe size of, like, 7, and I always liked that idea. I liked the juxtaposition. I like the idea of going, like, everybody would love to be Peter Pan, but at the same time, like, all the things that we'd never get to enjoy, all the blessings you'd receive, just getting older. But I'm the same way because, clearly, I'm in my 30s now, and I write these ridiculous songs that I think are funny or fun to do, and, but again, it's keeping that inner child alive. I mean, I think no matter how old we get, we all have that, like, I like to call it refrigerator magnet mentality.
Yes.
Like, when you were a kid, whenever you would do something that you were proud of, you would beg your mom, or sometimes you wouldn't have to beg, you just show it to your mom and she would put it up on the refrigerator for everybody to see. Because she knew how proud of that you were, and how proud she was of you, or, insert a parent or grandparent or whatever. And so for me, I just don't think I'll ever grow out of that. I think even in my 60s, 70s, 80s, I'm still going to have something to say. Now, it's not going to be, I don't think anything I'm ever going to write is going to be world-changing, or, and I'm not trying to. Like, I never sit down and try to craft, like, I never sit down and go, okay, I'm going to write an anthem. Like, I'm going to write something that's going to live on for 60, 70 years, I just don't have that mentality, and I think there's a part of it that just doesn't care because of that Peter Pan complex inside of me. I would just rather live in the moment and say, well, here's what I have to say about this stuff. If you guys get it, great. If you don't, that's great too. And so, yeah, I mean, I don't think, regardless of how old you are, like, what the heck? And, for me, it's always been about, I just love performing. Like, there's just something that happens, and if you've never done it, then it's hard to explain, because there's this energy, there's this thing that it's just this switch that flips, where it's like having an out-of-body experience for, 45, 50 minutes, an hour, where time literally speeds up exponentially. Like, you'll play an hour set, and you felt like you just got up there. And it just, and it's the energy of, what's funny to me is there are times, not always, but there are times when I actually love a crowd that hates me more than a crowd of people that love me. Mm-hmm. Like you almost feed off of that, because, it starts out as like, you get that kind of, like, I call it like the School of Rock thing, where it's just like, they want you to shut up. You're like, no, I'm going to play. Like, no, we're going to rock and roll. Like that's what's going to happen right now. And you start out with this a little bit of an attitude, but it's not like it's just more of like I'm going to turn you. Like, we're going to change this. Like, you may not like what I'm doing. I'm either going to say a joke or I'm going to say a comment, or you're just going to like that I'm going to keep coming at you. I'm going to look at you in the crowd. We're going to make eye contact. I'm going to let you know that I know that you don't like me, but I'm going to turn you. Like, I don't know what it's going to take, but I'm going to change your mind. And so it goes from like almost like an angst to like no, I'm going to turn this around. And some of the best shows I've ever played in my life were shows where, like, for the first 20 minutes, people hated me, booing, get off the stage, you suck. By the end, everyone in the room's cheering. And I don't think that's a testament to my music, and I don't think that's a testament to, like, oh, you're an amazing performer. No, I think it's just, I make it very clear when I get up there, like, I don't care what baggage you have when you got here. I don't care if you're mad at your parents. I don't care if you're a parent that's mad at your kids. I don't care if you and your wife argued all the way to the concert. You're going to leave here happier than when you came. Like, period. Like, I'm here to entertain you. You paid money, or at the very least, if you didn't pay to get in there, you're going to stand there and listen to me for, however long. Like, you paid your due. It is only fair that you put down your 2 bits. I should have to entertain you. And, I've apologized to people, whether, I should have or not, but at the end of the set, like, if I did not entertain you, I'm sorry. I failed. We failed together. Like, either you wouldn't let me in or I didn't reach you. And that's okay.
That sounds like they were kind of challenging you to be your best or work harder, and that maybe that shows through, and it made for a great experience overall.
Well, and I've admitted, there are times it happens, where you'll mess up a lyric, or, especially with any kind of hip hop.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you ever make a mistake while you're live performing?
Oh, of course. It's clear as day when it does happen. And for me, I can't do, like, you'll watch a lot of, like, Letterman performances or Leno or Conan or whatever, where people are clearly singing over their track, and that's fine. I don't do that because, there are certain things I do keep. There are certain parts of songs where other people do the vocal or different things like that, where if I had a guest or something like that. But, for me, I'm okay with there being flubs and mistakes because they're not there to hear the CD. They're not there to hear the iTunes track. Like, they're there for a live concert experience. It's kind of like, when you talk to people, like I've been to New York, like I said, and I've seen, I saw Les Mis in New York when I was a teenager. Now, Les Mis, like, I'm not a big musical guy, but I can tell you for sure, like, it was like the 3rd performance that day, and I can guarantee you that it was different than the 2 before it, but it was still amazing. Like, these people put on this amazing show, and, I'm sure they flubbed the words. I'm sure they probably, instead of saying exactly the right line, they probably, put in a different word that meant the same, an antonym or whatever, a synonym or, whatever it might have been. But to me, that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it more enjoyable. Is I actually enjoy going to a concert where I see these amazing musicians who are far better than I will ever be, and hearing them make mistakes. I love that. I never walk away and go, man, they sucked. I go, wow, they're human beings. Like, that's good. Like, they're not robots, And, for me, and I'm always honest about it. Well, first of all, anybody who's listening to my music, they know right away. And you can see that look on their face. And that always makes me laugh. If I'm performing a song and I goof up a section and I see somebody go, and it's that, like, they raise their eyebrows and their mouth goes open, they go, oh, it goofs me up even more. And I laugh, and I cannot help myself. And after the song's over, I'll be like, and I'll just point at that person and go, you knew that, yep, I screwed up. Sorry about that. But hey, that made it more fun, right? And to me, that's just, you know, you get people that, and I get it, I mean, bands that have been doing it for decades, and, you know, they want to be spot on, and, you know, their drummer's got a click track going, and, you know, in his ears, and, you know, they want it to be precise and just right on the money, and I'm like, I've just never been that guy. I would rather have it be an experience rather than sound exactly like the album.
So is that what your setup is like? Do you have like a track you're live rapping or singing to, or what's your setup like when you're live performing?
So for me, because I kind of prefer, like, you know, one of these days I would love to have a string of shows where it's a live band, because I think it would be really interesting to have, you know, guitars and bass and drums to the songs that I come up with. But for the most part, it's just economically, it's just much easier for me to do things on my own. So for the most part, I mean, yeah, I'm what you'd refer to as like a laptop rapper. I mean, for the most part, I have all my, you know, my live tracks. So it's like I have the music track going, and then, like I said, I try to keep as little, very few vocal tracks as possible. Like, I want to be able to do all the parts as best to my ability. Now, there are some songs where I do sing the chorus and I sing the verse, or I rap the verse and sing the chorus. And honest to goodness, there are just some songs that I cannot get enough breath after, you know, the end of a phrase of a verse. There's just no way for me to be able to sing the first note coming into the chorus. It is impossible. And so I have to kind of pick my battles and go, okay, well, I can go through the verses, and then I can't hit this first part of the chorus, but I can hit this part, and then I can do this part. And then, again, it kind of shows that, you know, I'm not just doing karaoke to my own song. I'm literally involved in the performance. Like, I intentionally, you know, did this. Like, it wasn't an accident. Like, I chose to do these parts because, again, it's just, if I had another person with me, they could hit those spots, but, you know, some of that stuff, it's just absolutely impossible. But, yeah, I mean, for the most part, it's, I mean, you know, it sounds very, very simple, but, yeah, for the most part, it's just something like Ableton Live, or, you know, where it's just, you know, it's not just like hit and play on an iPod. However, there have been moments where that is what has to be done. I mean, you just do, I mean, sometimes, you know, different venues or different places, like, you just roll with it. Mm-hmm. And so I just always try to make sure that I have, you know, a couple of different options available.
Right.
So, have you had an opportunity through the course of your musical career to meet any of your idols?
Not as many as I would like to. You know, we talked about Huey Lewis not too long ago. They were actually supposed to play around here a couple years ago, and I had backstage passes, and I was super excited. I was like, oh, I cannot wait to meet. Like, I just want to talk to him. Like, I just want to see what's in his head. Like, if we start talking about, you know, his musical career, great, but I just kind of want to see what the band's like. And and then 2 months before they were supposed to get here, they canceled the show, and I was just heartbroken. I was super bummed. But I mean, other than that, I mean, I've met quite a few people. I mean, the list would be very, very, very long, and for a lot of people, the list would probably be very unimpressive, because if I can hype one thing, anybody who's really interested in music, especially since we talked about Billy Joel and different things like that, and I'm brain farting the name of it, but if you go on Netflix, there's a documentary about, man, I really wish I could remember the name of it, but it's basically musicians, you know, studio musicians who, like, go on tour with these big artists, and then you come to find out that it's actually them singing or them playing the most iconic songs ever recorded, and it's not the main artist, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, I've met a lot of people like that where, like, again, like, I've met people where, like holy crap, you were on, you know, you played guitar on Glass Houses with Billy Joel. It's like, holy moly. Like, you know, that's, because to me, I'm just like, again, I can appreciate that Billy Joel's an amazing musician, but I know he didn't just sit down and write these songs. You know, it was, you know, these guys got together and, what's funny, like I said, if you watch these documentaries and read up on things, there's a lot of people that these mainstream artists, and most people probably realize, or maybe they don't. I mean, Garth Brooks, even though he had 1 million hits, he didn't write them all. I mean, very talented songwriters did, and that's okay. Like I don't disregard Garth Brooks. Garth Brooks, even though I'm not a big country person, you cannot deny the man had 1 million hits. He's an unbelievable live performer. Things like that. I got to meet. I cannot believe I'm brain farting one of the biggest names in country music. It's probably because I don't really like country music. Oh shoot, what is his name? His big hits were like Three Wooden Crosses and oh gosh, I mean huge country artists. I'm having like an enormous brain, but I mean I've met iconic musicians. And to be honest with you, the majority of the time, like, you sit down and talk to them, and we almost never talk about music. It's always like, oh, do you have kids? Oh, yeah. Like, or, what do you do? Or what do you like to do? Or what's, But I found more often than not, when you meet these people, and I've met people that I really, really admire, and, they always say that you shouldn't meet your heroes, and there is a lot of truth to that. I've met certain people where I'm like, wow, that guy was kind of an a-hole. John Mellencamp's a perfect example. When I was a kid, I actually met him a couple times. One, my uncle was married to a woman whose aunt actually lived in the house that Pink Houses was inspired by. And then my dad actually worked on my dad was a window and door guy, and he actually worked on John Mellencamp's house. So I actually went to his house a few times and just kind of hung out. And I remember pulling in, and John Mellencamp had like this, pink, like, I couldn't even tell you what year, but this amazing pink Cadillac. It was unbelievable. But I met him a couple of times, and like he was a D-bag. I mean, he was not a nice individual. I can tell you firsthand. So that was a little bit of a blow, because when I was a kid, like, that was just a requirement. Like, when you grow up in Indiana, like, you'd listen to John Mellencamp. Like, that's just whether you like rap, pop, symphony, orchestra, it doesn't matter. Like, you can probably name 8 or 9 John Mellencamp songs, so.
Well, we're at the top, or getting close to the top of the hour. So at this point, Ben, we like to make sure that our guest gets to promote. So spill away of where people can find you and contact you through social media.
Oh, absolutely. So anybody out there, first of all, I love social media. I'm on it all the time. I post at least 3 or 4 times a day, and then I end up interacting with almost every single person. I try to interact with every single person who posts. So you can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at Ben Knight Hip Hop, BENKNIGHT HIPHOP. I'm not on Facebook just because I feel like Facebook is just a dying thing, and Facebook has like a stupid algorithm where, and they all do now, social media, where like you post something and only like 20% of the people that actually follow you see it, and so I'm just like, ugh, I don't need more of that. But you can also go to BenKnightRaps.com, BENKNIGHTRAPS.com. You can check out all my music on Bandcamp, iTunes, Amazon, Google, basically anywhere you can get any digital music, any app, that's where you'll find my music. I do have merch out there. I have a whole store on my website of shirts and hoodies and all that kind of stuff. And I'll be honest with you, I just love talking with people. So like, yeah, if you're a big Twitter person or a big Instagram person, definitely just reach out, because chances are I'm going to write you right back.
There you go, Space Cadets. Reach out. Say hello. I wanted to say that one of our Space Cadets, Bev, was wishing you well, you and your family, since you're all under the weather, and that speedy recovery to get back to normal. So that just shows you our fandom is really supportive, a bunch of group of people, and especially Bev. So, Ben, we appreciate you coming on the show tonight. And I know it's been rough, but we really appreciate you coming on.
We love talking to musicians.
Yes, we do. And just talking nerd culture in general. So.
Yeah, let's definitely do it again. I think we could do a whole show on the whole, basically the entire back category of Mr. Paul Giamatti. I'm down for that.
Okay, sounds good to me.
Sounds like a match made in heaven.
Yes, exactly. All right, Ben. Well, have a good evening, and stay warm.
You guys too. Thank you so much for having me.
No problem, Ben.
Will.
Thank you, Ben.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Like I said, we do love musicians.
Do you love musicians?
I love one musician, but we cannot say his name.
All right, so let's take our final break of the evening, and we'll come back and do the jibber jaw and bring it to home plate. So don't touch that dial.
Mm-hmm.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sir Lotta.
Get your game on Spaceboy Universe. Level up with Spaceboy Universe. No quarters, no problems. Play it at Spaceboy Universe.
to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Sir Lana.
All right. Little slipstream there from the album Departure.
Nice.
I saw you bopping your head over there.
Yeah.
So, wonderful interview with Ben Knight.
Absolutely.
He seems to be a really cool guy.
So my two favorite people interviews is authors of books and whatnot, and musicians.
Mm-hmm. And definitely stop by, follow him on Twitter, and give him a howdy from all of y'all, and tell him how much you enjoyed listening to him tonight.
Yes, do that. That'd be good.
And wish him a speedy recovery.
And if you're out there and you or a loved one or friend is under the weather or just ill, we wish you the best.
Mm-hmm.
We know what it's like. Believe me. Seems like we've been sick for months, and if it would just quit being wishy-washy here, like it's cold, it's warm, it's cold, it's warm, it's wet, and I can't take much more.
I just saw the thing you posted.
Just for you.
Hey! If I was the moon, would you eat me?
Just read what it says.
I saw.
Just read what it says in his voice. You'll make me do it, aren't you?
Heck.
Curious like a cat.
Well, it's hard to see because the
Heck,
font's...
I'm curious like a cat.
Heck, I'm curious as a cat.
Yeah. Yes,
Anyway.
You need to work on it.
Yeah, I'll work on it.
Take a drink.
I still like that cat. It always cracks me up. Anyway, we're making
Harry Carey references.
Harry Carey references. Cubs win! Cubs win!
That was like the best character he ever did. I didn't care much for anything else he did. I don't care much for the movies he was in.
Well, I know you didn't care much for Ron Burgundy, but I noticed that
I did go see that movie.
He is actually bringing that to iHeartMedia. He's going to have a podcast where it'll be Ron Burgundy doing a podcast, I guess.
I'd rather hear him do Harry Carey as a podcast. But I suppose that would get old after really quickly. But he could just do it one time for me, for my amusement. Or I could have you do it. Yeah. Thank you, Bev. I will pass along your compliments to him.
Let's see if Michelle's cat is available.
Oh, I told her she missed it. She was late getting in, and that she didn't miss anything because the goat got dotted.
It got initiated.
Yeah, and she missed it, and her cat would be okay. But then he went and did that. Now her cat's not going to be okay.
Oh well.
Welcome to the unprepared portion.
This is the unprepared. Well,
broadcast.
Our banter and now has been unprepared, but
there's always nerd stuff we can talk about.
Well, it was another exciting episode of the Orville.
Oh.
I enjoyed it immensely.
I'll read something on my phone while you talk.
If you haven't seen the Orville, you should check it out for sci-fi lovers.
Let me open this bag of goldfish.
And well, we could do. What are we going to be doing for grocery shopping?
You want to hear that live? You want to hear like our daily marriage junk live on the air?
You want to break down and get the toaster oven?
I think we need it. I just don't know which one to get.
Well, I like that one that has the buttons on it.
It's supposed to. No buttons.
The one that heats up, and not the one that has the dials on it. The one that.
You have to show me, beer.
Yeah, it was the one with the digital thing on it, and
it's not too tall, is it?
It's hard to tell by the picture.
You know what this says?
What
this says Chris Evans may continue working in the MCU beyond Avengers 4.
Yeah, you know what? He'll be in the Fantastic Four.
He'll fulfill his current requirements once in-game's shown. He's made it clear he loves playing the captain and being involved, but he has other things he wants to do. So one of his interests is directing. So he might come back to the MCU as a director. Marvel Studio president Kevin Feige said he's offered Evans the chance to direct episodes, on one of their upcoming live-action TV series that will land on Disney.
Disney
whatever
Plus.
Disney's streaming going to call themselves.
It's called Disney Plus.
It's not verified. It's a rumor.
What, that it's not called Disney Plus?
Oh, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah.
That he might do this, but he's not. He's gone, but he's not gone. You know.
Yeah, he's going to play Johnny Lightning again.
No, that sucks. I don't like that.
No, I don't know. I'm just making that up. But it would be nice to see the Fantastic Four come back. I know that there's a lot of push out there to have the Silver Surfer come back, and so we'll have to wait and see. I just know that it's going to be a good movie.
Chris Pratt promises Guardians of the Galaxy 3 will happen.
Yes, and I saw in an interview that they're pushing it off, further down the line, but there will be one more Guardians movie.
I don't think all that controversy helped their movies.
James Gunn.
Yeah, whether he did it or not, it's just the fact that it went on, and
there's too much creep factor there.
Yeah, it just, I don't know.
And a lot of people say, well, Marvel's loss is DC's gain.
Well, DC only has Aquaman and Wonder Woman right now.
Mm-hmm. Well,
they need one more.
The Batfleck is being let go, finally.
Batfleck.
And there's the rumor that John Hamm might fill the shoes of Batman. You know,
I want all the Hamm.
Do you know who that is?
That's that guy from Mad Men.
Yes.
He's supposed to be like the most handsome man in the world, and I'm like, whatever.
Well, I think he's pretty attractive.
He's all right, but I mean, there's other guys that are more attractive.
I mean, he's no Christina Hendricks, but you know.
I never saw that show, so I know who you're talking about, but I don't care.
Yeah, one day I started to binge watch it and I couldn't stop, and it was a pretty good show.
I see a link I want to send Leanne. It's called the 10 Best Horse Movies of All Time. I'm going to see if she agrees.
Is the Black Stallion on there?
Wait a minute, let me send it to her first. Say, do you agree? The 10 best horse movies of all time. Let's just, what the heck? We got nothing better to do.
Okay.
Number 10, War Horse.
Okay.
That came out more recently.
Didn't the horse win the award, Academy Award, Best Leading Horse?
I have no clue. It got 6 Oscar nominations. Number 9, Seabiscuit from 2003.
Nothing better than Seabiscuits.
Number 8, The Black Stallion, 1979.
It's a classic.
Number 7, The Horse Whisperer, 1995. I think that's just because it has Robert Redford in it.
Probably.
Number 6, Secretariat from 2010. I miss Craig Ferguson.
Didn't BoJack play that character?
Yeah. Secretariat, sorry. Number 5, Spirit, the Stallion of Cimarron. That is an animated.
I was going to say animated, yeah.
2002. Number 4, Hidalgo. I think that was sort of like a family movie. That was in 2004. Number 3, National Velvet.
Mm-hmm.
The story was published in 1935. And
was Jennifer Connelly in that one?
I don't think so. The movie, based on the book, came out in 1944, played by a 12-year-old Elizabeth Taylor.
Okay, that's why I was thinking. I somehow got confused. Jennifer Connelly with the...
And at 12 years old, she looked like a beautiful grown woman.
Mm-hmm.
Number 2, Buck, released in 2011, about a real-life horse whisperer, Buck Brannaman.
Say that 3 times fast.
I don't know. And number 1, top 10 top horse movie of all time, I never heard of, called Dreamer. Released in 2005, Dreamer was a family movie about a horse trainer and his daughter, and the relationship changes as they work with horses. So, who'd have thunk it that they would bother to put a list like that together?
Who would have thunk it?
But anyway, so I'm just going through looking at interesting article topics that I don't know. Never watched Game of Thrones, never played Resident Evil, never watched Harry Potter, don't care about horror.
Hey,
wait a minute. Community Season 7?
What is that all about?
Oh, come on now. Community Season 7 and movie updates and what every fan should know. Well, I'm a big fan of at least Seasons 1, 2, and 3 of Community, which was an NBC show created and written and directed by Dan Harmon. Love him or hate him, whatever you think about him. I actually listen to his podcast sometimes, Harmontown. Mm-hmm. But it went off the air in 2015 for good. It had this thing in there. The character Abed, he broke the fourth wall every now and then. He was the only character aware that they were in a sitcom.
So are you going to read the article, or are you going to talk about the article?
But because he was always saying 6 seasons in a movie, that was his catchphrase, and he meant Community would have 6 seasons and a movie, and of course it did not happen. Many fans consider the first 3 seasons to the prime time for the show. Third season, the creator, Dan Harmon, was fired and replaced, and fans feel that the writing and the humor changed in the 4th season. Well, it's because the show's creator was gone, which explains why the show's ratings began to fall. And with the onset of each new season, it became more up in the air, and eventually it moved over to Yahoo, where it got picked up for its 6th and final season and came to an end in 2015. Well, this may not be the end, they're saying. The show's creators have been hinting that their desire to release the movie after the conclusion of the 6 seasons, because I feel like they've not fulfilled that catchphrase. The show's actors said they'd be more than willing, and the new season or movie could be in the future. Everything fans need to know. Likely it's going to be a movie, not a season, because you've got the guy that played Chang, and then you've got Donald Glover. Mm-hmm. They're astronomically famous now. They got bigger things to do. I don't know if you can wrangle Chevy Chase anymore. I don't know if you could even get him to pay attention. The cast has already said they're in, but I don't know if this means absolutely everything. But the Danny Pudi played Abed. He said he's expressed his interest, and but who knows? Dan Harmon is trying to make it happen. He's the creator. Producer Chris McKenna says the script is already written. And Community is Joel McHale confident that the movie will happen. Number 6, but will Donald Glover return? Because he's big. He played Troy Barnes. And this is like the first time we get introduced to Donald Glover as an actor is on the show. And now look who he's Childish Gambino. He's just, he's got all these creative endeavors. Mm-hmm. He has a social media, a rap career. So he's also maybe into the Spider-Verse stuff. Mm-hmm. He's remained silent on whether he'd come back, but that doesn't mean he couldn't make a cameo. Joel says they can't do it without Troy, though. I agree. I don't think he's been written in. They're saying Dan has his hands full with Rick and Morty right now. Right. Because Dan's also co-creator on Rick and Morty. And they just got re-upped for 75 episodes for Rick and Morty. Money might be an issue, so it might not happen. And they're waiting till the cast is less famous, so that could take a few years for Donald Glover. Don't expect Chevy Chase to be involved. That's of no loss to anyone. And the cast doesn't know what their characters are up to. They're, who knows how old they are now. But I think that could be a disaster. It could be really funny. If Dan's involved completely, then I think it would work.
I'd love to see the Dean again.
Oh, yeah, they didn't mention Dean Pelton, but what the heck's he been doing? Just writing award-winning screenplays?
Mm-hmm.
Which he did, and he got an Oscar for it.
And showed some leg.
Yeah, he made fun of Angelina
Jolie.
And I was like, I adore that man. The last thing I saw him on, Jim Rash, he was hosting the little Stranger Things interviews on Netflix, Beyond Stranger Things. And I was like, what's he doing here? This is so not his scene.
Speaking of Stranger Things, are you looking forward to the new season?
Yes, but I'm very, 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 very carefully not letting myself watch trailers, not listening to spoilers, not reading about it. I want to be completely surprised by it. The only thing I have seen is a poster.
Apparently, you don't remember me saying Jake Busey being in it.
Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the plot or anything. It's just like, hey, this person's going to be in it.
Actually, I can't. It was Jake Busey and somebody else.
Well, that's fine. I'll find out when it happens.
I guess he's playing his dad, Jake Busey.
Yeah, Gary Busey is
80s icon.
Crazy man.
Speaking of, what was a good Busey movie was when he played Buddy Holly.
Never saw it, but I know what you're talking about. I remember seeing him as made up as Buddy Holly. So I was talking to a coworker about all the big blockbusters that are coming out, and that we're starting off with Captain Marvel, and then right into Endgame. I mean, it's like right at the beginning of the year. It's like everything else seems anticlimactic because once we see Endgame, I'm guessing all our questions will get answered, and it'll be like, well, what do we do with our lives now? So
prepare for what is it called? I forgot how they were breaking it down. Something for not a season 4, but it'll come to me later when I'm.
There's a ton of little independent films coming out that I don't really know anything about that might have some merit, but it's like I won't ever know about them unless they come to Amazon or Netflix. That's where you notice them more.
Right.
Like. You and I are not into the Lego movie. You'll probably see it when it comes available to rent or
I'll
buy.
probably buy it, yeah. Because every day is awesome.
And then we saw this trailer for something called Alita: Battle Angel.
Oh yeah, James Cameron.
Really that interesting?
That'll probably be a rent. I mean, it looks good to me, but. Because it has that German actor in it. I can't think of his name.
And they're showing all the foreign films on IMDb of stuff coming up. They're showing, all the Bollywood stuff.
Right. I like to get my wrist twist watching Bollywood movies.
A Medea family funeral. I've yet to see one Medea movie. I'd like to watch one before I die.
The Boo movie was good. When she did, yeah, it was pretty funny.
I'll have to watch that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of movies. Captain Marvel is March 8th.
And a lot of people are wondering, is this going to be the first dud Marvel movie? I'm hoping it's not.
I can't imagine such a thing.
Well, if she would just shut her gums off screen, Yeah, I said it. Shut her pie hole. And, you've been... Here's a woman who has been given the greatest role that you could think of and to make lots of money out of it. So what? She won an Academy Award. Whatever. But it's
not relevant to
it's not relevant.
Project.
Yeah, but I just get tired of these actors and actresses. With this.
Well, another one I'm not interested. I'm just going to tell you about the things I'm not interested in. I'm not interested in seeing Dumbo, the live action / CGI. I've seen the original. I cried all my tears I want to cry, and I'm done. I don't need any more of that. Thank you.
Well, I mean, it looks interesting because it's being directed by Tim Burton.
Yeah, it's going to be a Bizarro world.
So that'll be one of those ones I wait. Just like...
and then I'll find out when you're watching it, and I'll avoid you.
Like the Winnie the Pooh movie, I'm waiting for that to come out to rent. I loved Winnie the Pooh when I was a kid. And
I don't care much about Shazam, but if you buy it when it comes available, I might look at it. I did see the original Pet Sematary, so I wouldn't mind you renting it when it comes out. The
John
remake.
Lithgow's in it.
Hellboy, we can go see that if you'd like to, or I can wait for you to rent it or buy it.
I don't know. He looks pretty good in that movie.
Hellboy comes out April 12th. And just a ton of other movies coming up I've never heard of. Probably won't watch. Avengers Endgame comes out April 26th.
Can't get here soon enough.
More, I don't care about the Pokemon movie.
You mean Detective Pikachu?
Yeah. But the fact that Ryan Reynolds is the voice is kind of strange, don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
May 17th, John Wick, Chapter 3, Parabellum.
I know you want to see that.
But I can wait for you to buy it if necessary. I'm not interested in seeing the live-action Aladdin. It just doesn't appeal to me. I would not mind seeing Godzilla King of Monsters, but I can wait.
That looks tight. I like that.
I can wait on you renting it. I'm not interested in Dark Phoenix.
That's the probably going to be the last we see of these people portraying.
It's Fox, yeah.
It's a Fox product.
I don't know that I will bother.
And that particular movie has been pushed back several times
yeah.
because it's had to do reshoots. So
I don't know that I will bother going to see Men in Black International, but I wouldn't mind seeing it at some point in the distant future.
Riddle?
Yeah. Just more independent films. Okay, Spider-Man Far From Home, July 5th. We can go see that if you'd like, or not. Or we can wait.
Whatever. You know you love that kid.
Oh, he's adorable. He's just the perfect Spider-Man, don't you think?
Yeah.
He really is. The New Mutants is part of... It's part of the X-Men, isn't it?
Yes. The New Mutants...
but they're saying they're treating it like it's a horror movie.
Yeah, they've kind of put a twist on it, on some of these characters.
I don't care to see it. Nor do I really have any interest in Dora the Explorer live action.
What? You don't want to see that?
No.
Or how about the live action of Carmen Sandiego?
No, that can't be a thing.
I think that is a thing coming down the pipe.
I have not seen it yet, but there is an It Chapter 2 coming out.
You haven't seen it?
Nuh-uh. I've seen it.
I'm looking forward to... I keep mentioning it to you. You should see this movie. You should see it.
I'll get around to it.
Bill Hader's in the movie.
Well, he's in the next.
Because it shows the kids that they've grown up.
I saw him being interviewed about it, and they said he has a weird reaction to being scared.
Yeah, because
he was genuinely scared on set.
He kind of smiles.
Scared, and they're like, Bill, you have to stop smiling.
Yeah, it was an interview with Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, Zombieland, Double Tap, not interested. You will be wanting to see that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a movie based on Are You Afraid of the Dark on the Nickelodeon children's series.
Yeah.
Didn't see it. A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood is October 18th about...
That's with Tom Hanks as Mr. Rogers, yes.
Yeah. Probably won't bother to go see that.
That's a rent for me.
Yeah. Untitled Terminator Reboot.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't got a title.
It's got Linda Hamilton in it. Mackenzie is in it. I guess she's playing a younger version of Sarah Connor.
November 1st is when that comes out. Don't care about Sonic the Hedgehog. Kingsman 3. I couldn't get through Kingsman 2, so I don't know.
We own that.
Frozen 2, I don't really care.
You don't want to build a snowman?
Untitled Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle sequel. Don't really care about those movies. And, of course, the conspicuously untitled Star Wars Episode 9, December 20th. Competing with Masters of the Universe and Cats. Good luck, other movies that are not Star Wars in December.
Well, you get your choice between watching a Jar Jar Abrams movie or you're going to watch Masters of the Universe. Although, the Masters of the Universe thing might be a pretty good spoiler for the new Star Wars movie.
Think so?
Yeah. Especially for people in my generation, Generation X, who grew up watching the cartoons of Masters of the Universe. We haven't seen a Masters of the Universe since, what's his name? Lundgren?
Yeah, what's that thing? I'm thinking about Beastmaster. What's that? That's that movie they just showed over and over and over and over and over. Yes.
Yeah, Beastmaster.
That and Red Sonja.
Mm-hmm.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen both those movies because back when we had TBS
the original
cable, they would show them over and over and over
Conan
and over.
the Barbarian. They used to show that about the same time.
I miss that kind of TV though, where it didn't cost so much.
And if it wasn't for TV, those movies would not have become cult classics either.
No.
So I was watching how Ghostbusters, the first movie, the original movie, did so well was because when it went to video, You know, it was in the heyday of VHS and stuff, a Blockbuster.
Oh, yeah, when that was really big to rent movies.
Let's see here. Yeah, I know you keep pointing your freckle on your hand. I know what you're saying. Did I play? I think I played the wrong break, but that's all right. All right, ladies and gentlemen. If this sounds like a repeat, I apologize, but let's get through this and we'll finish this program up together.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe on the SBU network.
Explore the universe with Spaceboy and Sir Lotta.
Greetings, Space Cadets. Let's see what's in the sky tonight in the Spaceboy Universe. Tonight, in the eastern sky, we have Spaceboy Universe rising above the horizon in glorious splendor. And in the west, we can see Solanas Majoris, which is visible at 9 p.m. Central Standard Time, just below the K28 belt. So keep your eyes on the sky and listen to Spaceboy Universe.
I'm Solaris Blurvid, and I'm listening to Spaceboy Universe.
You are listening to Spaceboy Universe. Here are your hosts, Spaceboy and Sir Lana.
We're back, Sir Lana.
said we had no audio. Well, you didn't miss anything.
Well, I don't know how that could have happened. Can you hear us now? Do they hear us now?
Let me see.
It's back. Okay. I think it was that Bev didn't log back into Google.
Oh, don't bring
She knows I'm teasing her.
Are you watching any TV shows right now that you're enjoying that, you know?
Am I watching any TV shows that I enjoy right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm watching some TV shows. Would you like to know what my shows I'm watching?
Would you like to know more?
Would you like to know more?
Press here to know more.
Well, you know I'm watching the Orville.
Oh.
That's one. And since I have the CBS thing going on, I watch Young Sheldon, which is fun because they give you, sometimes they'll give you a nugget of things you've heard in the Big Bang. Mm-hmm. And like, oh, okay, so that's where this comes from. Or, and that's, it shows his brother and his sister and his mom. And of course, the unfortunate part is, at some point his dad's going to die, but well,
I think his dad leaves them. I don't know if he died, but I think maybe he dies too.
I thought he died, but yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how all that goes down.
Well, I'm on imdb.com, Internet Movie Database, TV section.
Yeah.
And I was looking at, it's like a list of TV's favorite oddballs and misfits, and I don't know if these are ranked, but I don't agree with them. What's your favorite character about something you're watching right now?
My favorite thing about a character that I'm watching right now?
What's your favorite character out of any TV-based show that you're watching right now? Not a movie, TV. And I guess if it's on Netflix, it's a series. I guess that's TV.
Yeah, because it's on my TV.
It's
and
episodic.
I'm watching it. Yeah. Okay. Frank and Mike are really cool guys, and
this is American Pickers. They're actual people. These aren't characters.
Yeah, but they're on TV. But as far as if you want to say,
and you'd like to meet them, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind meeting. Well, I'd like to meet Danielle. I mean,
Yeah, I bet you would.
Yes, but
what about the Orville? Do you have a character on there you like most?
Well, Kelly, I mean, she's attractive looking. I like Bortus because his character's funny, and so those are two characters for you.
Okay. Thought to ask.
Okay.
I was looking at this list of oddballs, whatnot. The first one is Jaleel White. You know who that is, right? And I'm like, oh God. But I'm loving the second choice, which is a duo. David L. Lander and Michael McKean. You know who they are?
Yes.
Lenny and Squiggy.
Mm-hmm.
Wonder what happened to David. I mean, Michael McKean's went on to have a wonderful career.
Yeah.
I never saw Twin Peaks, so Paul Rubens as Pee Wee Herman. Don Knotts in Three's Company.
Yeah.
And
Mr. Furley.
Skipping over some that I don't know. Like, I never watched Gilligan's Island, but they mentioned Bob Denver. Of course, Robin Williams, Pandauber, Jim Parsons, Big Bang, everyone in the Seinfeld cast, Mackenzie Crook in the British Office, the original Office, Jonathan Winters in Mork and Mindy. He was amazing in Mork and Mindy. Rowan Atkinson in anything he's ever been in. Everybody in Stranger Things. Ron Palillo in Welcome Back, Kotter. Horseshack.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching Welcome Back, Kotter. And there's Danny Pudi from Community, who played Abed. I think I loved him because he broke the fourth wall all the time, and he kept reminding us about...
Well, I think between him and the relationship with him and Abed and Troy.
God, they're hilarious.
Yes.
I love their Troy and Abed in the morning. And he goes, what's like, it's still sunny. Garrett. And the guy who played Garrett on Community would show up in the AV Club comments section and give some behind the scenes, stuff about what went on. Oh, they mentioned Daria as one of our favorites. Seinfeld. Andy Kaufman, Taxi. Do you remember? Were you old? You were old enough to know Taxi was on TV.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sean Hayes and Will and Grace. You remember?
Yes.
Ken Jeong.
Jack 2000.
Community, number 41. Richard Ayoade, The It Crowd. Yes. I never saw that movie or saw that. Rick Mayall and Nigel Planer. The Young Ones, 1982. Sadly, Rick Mayall has passed away. And I saw Nigel, like, in a video, like, it was only like 3 or 4 years old. He's like, looks like an old man. I couldn't believe it. Nick Frost from Spaced.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was a good show.
Rainn Wilson, The Office. Betty White, Golden Girls. Wilder Valderrama, The 70s Show. Mark Heap, Spaced.
Mm-hmm.
You liked Spaced.
Yeah.
Adrian Edmondson and Rick Mayall again in Bottom. We watched a few episodes of that. Jimmy Walker, Good Times. Yeah, he was a good character. Oh my gosh. They have a picture of Henley Winkler, but guess from what specific episode it's from of Happy Days?
The Jump the Shark episode?
The Jump the Shark. Have we ever if anybody you know what Jumping the Shark is, when you say a TV show, it's for TV shows.
Mm-hmm.
A TV show has jumped the shark. That goes back, it's a reference to Happy Days, this particular episode where they had Fonzie inexplicably get on his skis and jump a ramp over a live shark, and that's kind of like, wow, this show has really gone downhill. It's no good anymore. They're having to do these crazy stunts to get our attention. So when a TV show jumps the shark, it's on its last legs. It's going bye-bye. The ratings are bad, or maybe the fans are gone, or they don't like it anymore. So can you spot the jump the shark moment in your favorite TV shows that are over and done with? Like, let's say, look, for something like MASH. Remember MASH? Did MASH ever have a jump the shark moment, or were they just following along with history?
I heard that the TV show MASH was longer than the actual Korean War.
Yeah. Because I don't know why people just didn't want to let go of that show.
Well, it was, I guess, well written. And
yeah, I mean, as a kid, I watched it.
Mm-hmm.
No clue it was happening, really. But I would sit down there and be quiet and watch that show. I don't know why. And you could look at it, I think the whole thing is on Hulu now.
Is it?
Yeah, I saw it on there, but I tried to watch, because you have it, I tried to watch an episode. I got 10 minutes into it, and I'm like, this show, I don't know if the show didn't age well, or I think, you know what it is? I haven't aged well. I've just become I'm just not about this stuff anymore. This doesn't appeal to me.
I guess Alan Alda is
a cool human being.
Well, his comedy may not be,
Well, there's nothing wrong with a comedy.
It's kind of like with me with Bob Newhart.
He's
when
hit or miss.
His comedy is very dry.
I like that though.
But when it was out, it was hard for me to get into those shows.
He's better when he's being interviewed or when he's recording a comedy album. That's when I think he's funniest. But when you write for that, it can be challenging. Like, my parents watched the first iteration of his show when I was young, and that was the 70s, the Bob Newhart. Then he had another one, and then he had one where he came back in the 90s, and he was like called Newhart, where he was running an inn.
Right.
And what I liked about that is when my parents watched that, when the shows ended for good, the last episode, they had it all be a dream, and he woke up next to his original TV wife in bed.
Right.
Because I dreamed I was a psychologist, and I dreamed I owned an inn, and she's like, "That's nice, dear." She turns over, goes to sleep.
That's kind of like Bryan Cranston did something similar to that, where they had the I can't think of her name, from Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh yeah, yeah.
The woman he was playing, he wakes up in a sweat, and and she's there in bed, and
that's because there's a fan theory about Breaking Bad being a fever dream of Malcolm in the Middle dad, his character.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he did that skit on purpose because Cranston's a nut.
Yeah.
Still looking at this list, number 65 is Norman Lovett from Red Dwarf. And I love that they have the British shows. Sharon Purser, Stranger Things. She died in this show. David Mitchell and Robert Webb from Peep Show, another British comedy. See, I could not get on board with Scrubs. I just couldn't do it. Of course, Red Dwarf all the way. Third Rock from the Sun. Only the early seasons. I never saw Arrested Development. Oh, and then the last one they mention is Frank Kelly, Dermot Morgan, and Ardell O'Hanlon. They're dead last, and I think that's somehow kind of fitting that the characters from Father Ted would be a favorite, but last in the list of favorites. That is such a wonderful, charming Irish comedy. However, if you're Catholic and you're devout, do not watch this show because you will be upset. Because the guys who co-wrote it were kind of disenchanted with the whole thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But it made for good comedy. I really enjoyed it. That's one of those things that only had 3 seasons, and as soon as they wrapped, the guy who was the lead character sadly passed away. But I'm just not into the latest TV shows that are coming out. I can't find anything of interest for me. The things I want, I'm having to wait another year for them to come back, like Better Call Saul, and Rick and Morty.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the only 2 I actually care about.
Yeah,
that will be coming back.
I'm ready to get my Rick and Morty on.
Yeah, I started to watch some of it today. Some of the stuff that's out.
Every time I see our magnets on our fridge, it makes me long for Rick and Morty.
I actually, your sister actually gave me a bunch of Rick and Morty swag, which kind of baffled me in that I don't know that I've ever discussed it with her or said that maybe we talked about it here.
She talked to me about it.
Oh.
Well, because she wanted to get you this cool Doctor Who purse, and I said, you're not into Doctor Who. And I said, you do like Rick and Morty. And
well, I'm actually carrying the Rick and Morty backpack. I'm using the Rick and Morty wallet because it's just right. Because the backpack I had, I spilled Earl Grey tea inside it, and it just got all wet. And you know, I don't know if it's still usable or not. Let me tell you about Rick and Morty. It's not for everyone. It's very nihilistic. It's animated. It's not for kids. Rick Sanchez, he's a grandpa, but he doesn't act anything like a grandpa. He uses the fact that he's so smart and he's a scientist, and he invented a portal gun that will take him to different dimensions, and he's found out there are so many dimensions because we live in a multiverse. He's got infinite grandchildren. He's got infinite daughters. So if he's in a reality where one or all of them dies, it doesn't bother him. He just moves to another reality if he wants to see them or hang out with them. Most of the time he doesn't want to. He sees it as a burden. But so he uses the fact there's an endless supply of everyone, and he knows how to access them to just not care about anyone or anything. So life has no meaning because there's so much of it, I guess. So it's kind of dark, you know. It has a lot of cosmic nihilism. It has a lot of that Lovecraftian cosmic horror feeling to it. He's rude and abusive. He's treats people like crap. He's, you know, not really somebody you'd admire. And he drags his grandson on these adventures because we come to find out that the grandson's brain signatures can help hide his brain signatures from other versions of himself. And then, you know, Morty finds that out. But there's still something about it that is really appealing. The humor is good. It's, dead on, even though it's dark and twisted. There's nothing really positive about it. I think it's more like real life, So don't go to this looking for, positive like if that's what you go watch the Care Bears. Maybe they'll have less drama. It's for. There's a reason it comes on Adult Swim part of the night of Cartoon Network. It's not for kids. I don't even know that I would let a 16-year-old watch this but then I don't make those calls. I feel like you should be 21 or over to watch that, but that's just me. I don't know. I just get it. I just totally get it. There's been some great. I would really love to see more interdimensional Cable, but the one I liked was from season 3 where they wake up from being passed out and she puts on the cable box for him and they're watching House Hunters, but it's like hunters hunting a house, like the house sprouts legs and gets up and runs away. I love that twist on. Oh man, I highly recommend that. If you're an adult and you're not super easily sensitive and offended. It's on.
A quick shout out
Netflix
to our
and
good
Hulu.
friend Dino, who finally showed up. But
that's fine.
He's a man of the of getting out there and having a good time.
Better the last 10 minutes than no minutes at all, I say.
Mm-hmm. Better late than never.
Yeah.
So, Sirlana, we're getting ready to wrap this thing up tonight, and she likes to crack herself up.
Well, nobody else is going to do it.
Yeah, well, she doesn't like my jokes.
Well,
and yet you made a 9-year-old joke today.
You said, okay, we go to this catfish place. We went to it like a week or two ago. We try to go the usual way, the most direct route there. Well, there's a railroad track, and they were working on it, and they closed the street down, so you couldn't just go down that street. You had to go make this giant U-turn down the side of 290 to get back to it. And I said, well, maybe you could go down that street this time when we go today. Maybe that was a one-time thing. They're not still working on the railroad. Or you said something like, maybe they're not still working the railroad. And I said, yeah, maybe they're not working on the railroad all the live long day. And you just had no emotions about it.
Yeah, that joke was so funny the first time around.
And
it was such a knee slapper.
I was like, you should be dying because that is such a Jim joke. That's your real name. I mean, that's right on your level, man. And you're like, what level is that? I said, the 7-year-old level. Yes, Dino, we heard about your storms and your rain, and we hope you're coping okay. I don't know if y'all remember that water still falls from the sky, because, I mean, that's been happening here a lot. We're sick of it. So I hope I don't know if you can swim. I hope you've got some water wings or... I have family in California, so I do hope y'all are all okay, but as for the whole state itself, I'm like, well, hope it all works out.
Housekeeping, Sirlana?
I don't know anything about that.
As always, we're always looking to get new guests on the show. Tonight's guest was brought to you by him reaching out to us, and we said, well, come on board. We'd love to have you as a guest. I know that Miss Michelle recommended somebody. I'm still looking into that person, and that we'll see when that happens. I guess it's okay to announce this. On February 24th, 7 p.m., we'll be hanging out with Dave Cruz on his show. It's been a long time, and we're going to have a good time on his show on that date. But as far as upcoming guests, just tune into our Space Boy Universe channel on the interwebs, and you'll get an update on who's coming down the pipe. Of course, I'll send out some social media so that you can, figure out, hey, this is coming up. But as always, if you have somebody that you want us to check out to get on the show, please send that information to contact@spaceboyuniverse.com. And just to bring it full circle back to the beginning, if you have $1 in your pocket and you're willing to be generous, go to spaceboyuniverse.com and click the donation thing for $1. Every little bit helps keep the universe moving, and we appreciate you and thank you many, many, many times over.
I'd buy that for $1.
And if you feel inclined, there's space swag there on the site. You can get you a nifty shirt. Many to choose from. Just check out our shop. And I guess...
Yes, that's a good idea.
So you know what's a good idea, Sir Lana?
Saying goodnight.
Let's say goodnight and let the Space Cadets get some sleep time. Good night, everyone. Good night, Michelle's cat.
Spaceboy Universe is hosted by Spaceboy and Sir Lana. Executive producer is Sir Lana. Associate producer is Lee Ann Cordes. Music production is Spaceboy of SpaceboyMusic.com. Special thanks goes out to Lee Ann K, K28, Dino, Solars Blue Raven, Patrick Sporer, Bob and Beverly N. This has been a Spaceboy Universe production. Support the universe by exploring Spaceboy Universe with Spaceboy and Sir Lana. Sweet dreams, Space Cadets.
Hi, I'm Spaceboy.
And I'm Sir Lana.
And you're listening to Spaceboy Universe
on the Paranormal UK Radio Network.